Poo-poo. Poo-poo. Pee-pee poo-poo.
My daddy gave me a bear necklace. There is a bear inside of me. As I get bigger, the bear again get bigger with me. As I get smaller, the bear again gets smaller too. There is actually two bears inside of me. Good bear and bad bear. Every day, bear they fight each other like gladiator. Whatever bear win is the bear I am today. Thank you. I am mutant.
Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. I'm Max.
I am mutant.
I am good bear, bad bear.
It's episode 86. How the hell are we?
Hot, but fine.
Out, baby, it's out.
Yeah, Britain can't handle this.
Isn't it so lovely? It's not.
It's not.
It's like a climate crisis, but you know.
It is like, it reminds me of every single like day this week. I keep having flashbacks to this conversation I had with this guy at the festival I was working at the other day. He was sitting on the ground with me and he was like, "We're heading to a climate crisis. We're all
heading to it."
No, he was like, "We're all going to die of climate-related incidents in our lifetime, and probably yours as well." And I was like,
That's
"Excuse me, how old do you think?" He was only like 3 years younger than me as well. I was like, "How old?"
That's ancient.
Like, do you think I'm that ancient? No, he's like, "You're gonna die like right now."
We're all going to die of climate-related deaths. It's like, what?
And then he was like, "We need to, I want you to come join us and get yourself arrested, chain yourself to oil rigs, anything that would change the world." And part of me was like, hell fucking yeah, that sounds really cool. And then part of me was like, wait a minute, I've got to go home and like face the real world in like 2 days' time. And I was like, oh, can't really just get arrested. And
Oh, yeah. I don't really have the time to be arrested. Sorry, mate. How many people do you have to tie to an oil rig before you realise that's probably not what's going to stop it?
Probably quite a few people, to be fair.
Well, clearly, it's not stopped it yet.
No.
Keep on going, mate. If you think it's going to work, go for it.
I mean, I kind of hope it does, because honestly, we need to change our ways, man. It's too hot now. I can't imagine how it's going to be in the next like couple decades.
Hot as balls.
I know.
Yeah. I basically died at one point this week. I went out in Brighton on Friday night and I stayed there overnight, and I was like walking around Brighton on the Saturday while hungover, and I didn't have a hat or anything, wasn't wearing sun cream, didn't really have much water either.
Whose fault was that?
I got home
That is
and
true,
I
that is
basically
your fault.
passed out. And then for like 3 days afterwards, I just felt really ill.
That's your fault.
I know
you
it
did
is.
that to yourself.
I'm not denying that it's my fault.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I wouldn't have been that bad if it wasn't so
Yeah,
I
hot.
loved like seeing
that's
you
pretty
make
shocking,
just a
isn't it?
bad decision after bad decision that
I
night.
know, right?
And then the following day, like, you could just go home, but no.
No, man's just, oh my god. You're too
So
much.
what did you
like,
do instead of going home?
Yeah, go on, Chris. Tell everyone in the world what you did.
So I'll just start the story by describing what happened the night before.
Oh, lovely.
My plan was I was going to go to Brighton for a couple hours for my mate's birthday. The last train was at like 10:20, so I was like, I'll get that. Got to about 10 and it was like I had to leave right then, and I was like halfway through my drink and I was like, fuck it. So I just stayed out, didn't sleep at all, just carried on drinking until like 7 a.m, went for breakfast, and then decided it was a good idea to go see Minions Rise of Gru while I was simultaneously kind of drunk and hungover.
Do you know, I got a good chuckle, but it also really infuriated me. Like, I was sitting on this chair, right? I've had about 3 hours sleep. I'm sleeping in a fucking tent, right? Hearing nothing but dun, 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 all night. And I was like, "Chris, give me a call. I need a laugh." And when I was like,
here's what's happening in my night.
yeah, he was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know, I just called him an idiot for going to see the Minions movie." And
Yeah.
one of the girls that I was working with just came out, heard me say something like, "Why the fuck could you spend £13 seeing the Minions movie? You
Yeah, it was
fucking really
It
dope."
was £13 a ticket.
And she just laughed and walked the fuck back in. She was
my
like,
original
"Nah."
plan was there's a Cineworld and an Odeon. The Cineworld was showing the Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I was like, oh, I'll go see
I
that.
forgot that was a thing, but
It was like
Yeah, so did I.
£2.50 a ticket, but you had to take a child. You had to buy 2 tickets. It was like a £5, but you couldn't. Like, it said specifically adults cannot go without a child.
But you didn't have a child.
So I wouldn't have been able to go.
That's why he
I mean,
didn't
I
go
probably
to it.
would have gotten in. They probably wouldn't have
They probably
batted an
wouldn't have,
eyelid.
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have
But I
thought
was
of anything.
like, I'm too drunk to deal with not being let into this movie.
No.
So I just bought a ticket for Minions. I don't think I was actually looking at how much it was until like afterwards.
That's actually shocking.
Chris has created a new form of self-harm.
Yeah,
Just stay
the
up
one where-
all night, get absolutely shit-faced, decide like no sleep at all, and then become
No
into this
logic in it.
quasi-state between being really drunk, really hungover, and insanely tired, and then go and see the Minions movie.
And it wasn't even like-
£13 later.
And the worst thing is, it wasn't like I was just like, oh, I'll go see Minions. And I literally bought a ticket and went in. I bought the ticket like 2 or 3 hours before the film actually started.
That's insane. You did this instead of going home.
Yeah.
You were in a completely different city. It was
Wait a minute,
ages
wait a
away.
minute.
What is
Yeah.
it, like an hour and a half to Brighton?
About an hour or so, isn't it?
hour
Yeah,
and a
like.
half.
Are you really telling me, right? You did, like, because if it was like a spontaneous decision, like you just walked past and went, fuck it, I'm going to go see the Minions. But 3 hours before, you could have been on a train. You could have gone home by
Premeditated
that point.
minioning.
Like, it doesn't make any sense
Well, I
to
bought
me.
the ticket and I was like, this is going to be really funny. And then like an hour or two later, I was like, what the fuck have I done? But I was like, it's £13. This is a lot of money just to spend on nothing. I might as well go.
You should have just cut your losses.
I thought
Yeah,
about
you
it, but I
really
was
should.
like,
This is
at
the
the same
sunk cost
time-
fallacy
I-
at play.
I actually can't believe you've done it. Like, that is some
Yeah.
terrible life decision.
Thought, was
to
it
be
good? Was it
fair.
at least worth the money?
oh, obviously not. It was pretty abysmal. I'll say it's probably better than the first Minions movie.
What a bar to say.
Yeah.
It's like one of the worst movies ever.
Wait a minute, what? Oh, no. There's no
Like-
way something that could bore you to tears has got to be better than another film that's bad,
You
right?
haven't seen the first Minions movie, have you?
There are many
No, well,
reasons
me and
why,
Chris,
yeah.
we watched that movie together.
Yeah.
That first one.
years
Oh,
ago.
is it as
Years
torturous
like
as,
back
as
then.
it
Yeah,
sounds?
it's
Yeah.
really, really bad.
It was
Ah.
horrible.
Yeah, I've not seen it for obvious reasons. I'm not. I don't have much life like left. You know, like I don't need this.
Yeah.
I don't need to waste it.
The thing with this film is I don't really know why it's called Minions, because it's not really a Minions movie. It's like a Despicable Me movie. It's got Gru. He's a kid in the movie. It's like just like Despicable Me as with Gru as a kid. Most of the film's about Gru. Like the Minions are there. They're doing their normal Minion shtick, like getting sucked into a toilet and they're like all their clothes being ripped off and showing off their butt. Stuff like that. There's a bit where they're burying someone who's faked his own death and they drop the coffin and it's filled with bananas.
That's
Yeah, it's
classic
The
Minion
normal
antics.
classic
Yeah,
Minion stick.
Of course, it's filled with bananas. What
But
else
yeah,
would it
most
be
of the
filled
film's
with?
literally just Gru. He's trying to join this like super villain group, but they won't let him in. They don't treat him seriously. And then he teams up with this old guy who got kicked out of this super villain group, sorry. And the film's kind of all about them trying to steal this like artifact from him or something and defeat them.
Oh my god, that's so awful.
Well, you know, if you put Minions in the title, more people will probably see it, right? Because people love the Minions.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that like people don't love Despicable Me, but I think probably more people like the Minion brand. So
Yeah,
maybe that's why they decided to call it Minions.
yeah. Like if you just called it like I don't know, the Rise of Gru or whatever, people would be like, "Who the fuck?"
Who's
Even though,
Gru?
even though they know
Yeah.
who he is, they're going to be
I
like,
think people would still go. Despicable Me is still a huge franchise.
"Yeah, but yeah, why didn't they just make it a Despicable Me
Despicable
movie,
Me 4.
L-
The
like
right-
instead
it's
of
like
Minions
a prequel.
instead?" Yeah,
You can't make it like 4, right? It has to be like because it's a prequel, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so.
Like what?
Yeah, but they could have just called it
Despicable Me
Despicable Me
0.
Rise of Gru or something.
Yeah, probably.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
you could just do that.
Yeah, I just think they just, you know, it's just marketing, isn't it? It's just how they get people in the cinema, which is fine, fair enough, whatever. Bring on your, what was it, Minions, fucking
What, the
Yeah.
gentle Minions?
cups and people in suits and fucking
Kids in
banana
suits going to see
slushies.
the Minions
just
movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag gentle Minions. You seen that? Like,
Is that what it's
Well,
actually gentle?
yeah, like cinema
Yeah.
chains are like, look,
like
look at
banning
these gentle
suits in there.
Minions, and they're like really hyping it up because they want people to see the movie.
At one point, I think
That's-
Odeon completely banned anyone going
In a
like,
suit,
in a suit.
yeah.
And now they're
Yeah.
actually like embracing it. They're like, we've got special gentle minion screenings and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Turning
We
it
have
on
special
its head a
soy
little
boy
bit.
screening.
Yeah.
To be fair, you have got to be like really fucking sad to get up in a suit and watch the Minions movie.
Yeah.
And if you've done it,
Yeah.
I stand by my comment.
So I think going back to the movie, I think what makes it like so bad isn't the fact it's like the first movie was really cringy and really unfunny and horrible and painful to watch, whereas this one wasn't really that at all. It was just boring.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah, did you say you fell
wasn't-
asleep?
Yeah, I fell asleep like 3 times, but
Great.
like.
But you were already tired.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
already
you were going to fall
dying.
asleep
I
either
literally
way, I
fell
think.
asleep for the first like 10, 15
Yeah.
minutes and woke up and I had no clue what
You
was
could have
going
seen
on.
like Goodfellas and you still would have fallen asleep.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
I
it
woke
wouldn't
up
matter
and
what
I,
you've
like,
done.
for a second I forgot I was in the cinema and I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Where am
I was like, oh my God, I actually did this.
Being assaulted by minions.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just there's not really many jokes. None of the jokes are like really painfully cringy. They're just not funny. And it was a fairly busy screening and I did not hear a single laugh throughout the whole movie, except for maybe like one chuckle from like one of the dads there. And that was about it. And considering it was like all kids, it just didn't seem like it really hit anyone at all.
But people are liking this movie.
Yeah.
I've seen people say this one is the good one. This one's quite good, actually.
Yeah,
The
which I
good
don't
one.
understand at all because it's no better than the others.
The
Weird.
good one. I don't. Yeah, what? But if
At
the
least
bar's
in
that
my
low,
opinion.
then yeah.
Maybe if I was sober, I'd have a different opinion, but
No,
I don't think
d-
so.
I don't think
No.
you would. But then
I
again,
think if you were sober, you wouldn't have gone.
No.
It's-
Well, actually, no, I did consider going. Like I said, I had it in my calendar, the release
Oh
date.
my god.
I wanted to go because I thought it would be an
No,
epic
that-
meme.
no, it's not a good meme though, is
It's
it?
not.
It's not a
Especially
good
if you
meme.
go alone. Then it's like, who's the
Yeah.
meme for if you just
That
sat
was
there
the
alone
only-
in a theatre with a bunch of kids?
Yeah, the thing stopping me
Yeah.
before was the fact that I'd have to go by myself and I'd be like, oh, people are going to look at me like I'm a nonce or something.
I
But at
would.
that point, I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, I definitely would have.
I was just fucking weirdo. He looks like half asleep. He's like, it looks like he's just come from a night out. He's alone in a fucking showing of the Minions. I'm
Yeah,
here
that-
with my kids and trying
yeah.
to watch this movie.
Don't let him 10 feet near a school. Fucking hell, Chris. What are you doing?
Oh well.
But it's right, you got some Sonic socks out of it, didn't you, Chris?
Yeah, Darcy
What?
gave me some Sonics. Well, that's like a completely unrelated thing.
Yeah, but you came
What
back
do
and
you mean
you got
he
some
got
Sonic socks.
Sonic socks out of it?
Yeah, you make
Not
it
out of
seem
it,
like
yeah.
because I went to the Brighton, I got Sonic socks. But I didn't. You just happened to bring Sonic socks home from the festival you went to. So I would have gotten them
Well,
regardless.
I did.
Darcy's led us astray once more.
Yeah, I know. It's a common factor with me. But I like
Cool.
it. I like to lead everyone on them tangents. Actually, while we're still here though, Chris, can you rate the Minions movie, please?
Oh, please do.
Oh, yeah, 1 out of 10. It sucks. It's awful. It's really, really bad.
I like how Max is actually writing Minions.
Yeah, it'll be on the letterbox to follow that.
There was a bit I remember really, really vividly where Funky Town starts playing,
Oh,
and I
hell
actually
yeah.
almost got up and left because I was like, "This is so bad."
Kids don't know that. Kids don't know Funky Town.
Yeah,
They
That's
do.
for
Well,
us.
the film's set in the
Yeah.
70s, so it's like all 70s
What?
music.
Kids weren't born in the 70s. Though.
No.
Kids are
There's a,
barely born now.
There's a soundtrack album that's come out that's got all the songs in the film, and then
Mhm.
there's like loads of covers of it, like by big musicians like
Oh,
Tame Impala and like all these like big names.
I thought you were gonna say like in like Minionese or something. They were gonna
No,
go
no.
gabba gabba
got,
gabba
Phoebe
gabba.
Bridgers did a cover on it. Like all these like big name like current like indie and
Okay, well,
like pop musicians
That's
are on it.
I don't know
really
if you can call
weird.
them indie now.
No.
Just write these people down so I know never to listen to them.
Just write down the Minion soundtrack and then just like obliterate all of
I'll go through the
songs.
Minion soundtrack on like Spotify or something, like block every artist
Yeah,
that's on it.
that's absolutely abysmal. Like,
I'm going to sleep well easier at night knowing that I never have to listen to Tame Impala again.
I also sleep better at night knowing this.
Cool. Minions, Rise of Poo.
Speaking of Poe,
Speaking of poo,
yeah.
Chris and I watched a movie. It's
Might-
called-
might trigger some people today.
Chris and I saw the new Thor one. The new Marvel Thor movie, Love and Thunder. Taika Waititi's back. and better than ever. Who knows? So yeah, they did another one of these, fucking, and they got him back because he was so good at doing Ragnarok, which was a good movie, and I like that. And yeah, I guess it was like I was upset because like it was really sunny, and then we went to the cinema and watched a Marvel movie. Yeah, I quite liked it when I was in it, but now I don't remember it, so I don't know what that says. But I think it's. I think I'm not going to watch any more Marvel movies.
No.
Do you know, that's what Chris said to me.
The film ended and I turned to Max and was like, I think that's me done with Marvel now.
Yeah, you did.
It just seems like it's just too much, isn't it?
I think because for me, this was like one of the ones where I was like really looking forward to this movie, and I was like, this is going to be the one that probably like brings me into phase 4 because I've not really enjoyed anything so far, and because this was such a like big disappointment for me, I was like, what's the point in even carrying on with it if like every single film's going to be a disappointment, or I'm just going to find it boring.
What even is phase 4 so far? It's like all those shows that they did. This one, I guess I like that Spider-Man movie enough.
Yeah, that was really good. That was a great movie.
Oh, what? No Way Home?
Yeah, that was good. That was like the only good one.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what's in
Black Widow and Doctor Strange were okay, but that's about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'm not like disappointed or anything. It's just like, yeah, okay, it's Marvel. Like, what do you want anymore? Like, it's not, I guess it's just not for me anymore.
Yeah, understood.
I mean, people still go out to see him in like droves. So I guess there's a reason to keep making them, but they just lack so much like flair to me now. It's so, the formula is there and it's so obvious. Like, well, I don't even need to see it to like know what's going to happen.
Yeah, the problem I had with this movie wasn't that it like follows the standard like Marvel formula or anything. It's that it felt really lazy to me. It felt like Taika Waititi just didn't care and he wasn't really putting much effort into the movie at all. It's like, he was just kind of like, let's just do Ragnarok again, I guess. Yeah. But he didn't really want to do it again. It just kind of felt really half-hearted to me. There's just like this video going around at the moment of him and Tessa Thompson on Vanity Fair on YouTube, where they're like breaking down a scene. I don't know if either of you have ever seen like, it's like a series on YouTube where like an actor or director will like have a scene on like a screen and they'll like draw on it and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them.
So there's this new one with them where they're like criticizing the film and like criticizing the like effect work, and Taika Waititi like is saying, oh, this looks like shit.
That's funny.
And like Tessa Thompson's like saying about how he used like a take in the film where she like made a mistake at the beginning of it, and he was like, oh, I never actually noticed that. And it's like, it's almost like he didn't watch the movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, did he never watch that film back, or?
Why would he? He just directed it, right? He didn't edit it.
No, but still, directors like normally quite hands-on in the editing room. They still have Marvel? To like, probably not, but like they should be.
Fair enough, then.
They should be, but like Marvel has they know what they're doing, like with their formula that they have. So like, yeah, just give it to the editor, and then that's probably like the last they see of it. The director probably doesn't see anything past like what they film of it, right? Like they're on set and then they leave. And they collect their millions and millions in checks.
Yeah, maybe for something of that caliber, yeah.
I didn't really feel that with Ragnarok. Although it feels like a Marvel movie, it definitely felt like he was very hands-on. It felt like he actually had a lot of input in the movie, especially like because the film's like very comedic and it feels like a Taika Waititi movie. And this film, it doesn't feel that much like it.
Didn't you say it like wasn't funny?
It wasn't funny much. No. I laughed a bit, but like I couldn't tell you what I laughed at anymore.
No, I felt the jokes were all really flat for me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He has like a way of telling a joke that I quite like, but it didn't feel like this was his movie.
Oh, well, like it wasn't him doing it.
But they were like trying to ape him, which was kind of sad. But like, I don't know, like, do I go to a Marvel movie to see a director's like influence and like this is what they wanted to do?
I mean, is that
not really?
Is that not what we did with the Sam Raimi movie though?
Well, maybe, but like
in general,
you wanted to see something from that movie. I do think there's a lot in that Doctor Strange movie that came from Sam Raimi, but it was also a movie that was also directed by Scott Derrickson. And then Sam Raimi came in later.
Oh,
Like, he's not the sole director of that movie.
I got you.
So it kind of feels like a blend between the two. Two directors I like a lot, but yeah, I mean, it is bare bones. It's a Marvel movie. And I'm not like looking at a Marvel movie and being like, where's the artistic integrity in this? It's like, we're like, what? Like, what do you want? It's a fucking Disney-owned Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you not want a better CGI at least? Sorry, I just can't stop thinking about that stupid fucking floating head thing that you guys were talking about. I've never laughed so much.
Son
Yeah,
comes in.
Heimdall's son comes in one scene. He like uses his like powers to like project his head into like this building. And I saw like a tweet of like a picture of it like the day before I saw the film.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not real. Come on.
I had never seen it before,
And
so I
then,
was like, I did kind of laugh.
Yeah, Chris showed me
what the fuck?
Yeah, Chris showed me the scene when I came home and was like, Darcy,
It's
you
the
need to see this.
funniest thing.
I was like,
It
what the
looks
hell's
so
that?
awful. It
It
literally
did.
looks like it was done in like 5 minutes on Photoshop.
Yeah, I
It looks
thought
terrible.
you did that and like sent it over like as a meme, like, oh, Darcy, this thing was in the film and I had to take it at gospel. But it was. It actually was.
Yeah, the effect, I don't know. When I think back to it, I'm like, it kind of, in my mind, it feels like washed out a little bit. I don't know. But like, because that previous movie was like very vibrant and colourful. I guess they want to go more in with that now because like they had a lot of people like criticize them before because their movies look like dishwater. And I think they've kind of gotten over that now. But instead, like, they just don't write good movies anymore. So like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Because the writing it's kind of weak. It's kind of weak, like, throughout. I mean, I like some of the parts, but I think because it's trying to be a comedy, it doesn't balance the comedy. I mean, first of all, it's not that funny. And so when you're like you're trying to inject comedy that's not very funny into a movie with themes that are quite sad and dour, like kids being like kidnapped, or like Jane Foster, who was like Thor's girlfriend, played by Natalie Portman, who has cancer now.
Oh,
And like, that was like, oh man, what are they going to do with this? And then they didn't do much with it. Like, she has cancer. And like, that should have been like horrendous.
Yeah.
They should have shot it like Thor should have been like, so everybody should have been way more sad that she had cancer and was definitely going to die. But she was like, yeah, I guess I'm probably going to die. And everyone's like,
die?
oh man, Jane, that fucking sucks. Yeah, she dies. She doesn't die of the cancer though.
Oh.
She dies because she becomes Thor, and like she hears Mjolnir, which is Thor's shattered hammer, calling to her, and then like because she becomes Thor, when she like gets the hammer, it like saps her of her life essence. And I think that's why she dies, because she becomes Thor too many times.
I feel like you guys are chatting shit. I know
That's
you're
what
not,
it
but
is.
that's what it genuinely, as an outsider, it sounds like you guys are chatting shit.
There's a bit that made me cringe so much.
Come on then.
Where someone like calls her Lady Thor, and she's like, "I'm not Lady Thor. I am the Mighty Thor."
Yeah,
Because that's what she was
That's
called in the
comics.
comics.
yeah.
That's
Wait.
so cringe.
I thought you were going to say that bit at the end where they say something about the title and you were like, that was really cringe.
Yeah, I think we'll get to that in a bit.
That's sorry. It just honestly, it sounds like you guys are making it up. Like, this movie sounds made up.
There was a point where like Thor's like, you can't do this anymore, Jane, because you're gonna die. So like she's like sitting in a hospital with fucking a drip in her arm, and she's like, I want to do it, Thor, and he's like, no, stay here. I'm gonna go kill Christian Bale. And then the way it's shot, like, he has no fucking, like, he doesn't even care almost. The way it's shot is like she's lying in a bed and he's like stood up looking down at her. It's like a mid shot. I really thought this movie could have benefited from a lot more like close up shots, or like and been a bit more intimate with it. But because they didn't do that, and it's a lot of wide shots and mid shots, it feels very disconnected. Like, there's no emotion to it.
No. And that's like when you're trying to tell a story as emotional as this, just makes it just like not
I feel
hit
like
at
if
all.
you're gonna try and do a cut, like when you just like leave out the whole like cancer thing.
She literally has cancer.
Yeah, like, could
And
they
then,
not
like,
just left
they
that
don't
out?
do anything with it.
Yeah,
It doesn't
good.
even kill her. I'm
What was the
sort of like,
point?
what do you expect? It's fucking Marvel. Like, of course she turns into a super ninja and then dies because she turned into a super ninja too many times. They're not going to kill someone because of cancer in a Marvel movie.
Then don't have her have.
Because at the end of the day, why did she need to have cancer?
That's what I
it's
mean,
just
why-
emotionally manipulative.
Yeah, why
But
do
it doesn't
it?
work because, like, A, it's not balanced well with the humour, and B, I don't give a shit about the character.
Mhm.
Like, it's a character from 2 movies that no one really likes that
Yeah,
much.
bring her back.
I just don't understand.
Bring her
it.
back, and this time she'll die. Oh, great!
Yeah.
How brilliant! Yeah,
Yeah, what fucking genius came out of that one?
Korg sucks ass.
Who?
Korg is fucking boring as
Yeah.
shit. He was in that last movie as like a side character that you didn't see all that much, and he worked in that one.
Yeah, it was
like
really
Taika
funny in
Waititi
that one.
playing a rock man.
Oh,
Like a guy made of rocks.
Right, yeah.
He was funny in that.
The one who
'cause
plays
he's
Fortnite in Endgame.
yeah,
Oh, okay, I got you.
he's good in small doses, but in this, it's like he's there all the time, and then he dies, and I was like, kind of thank God. But then he comes back, and I'm like, oh man,
Oh,
of course he comes
yeah,
back.
he's immortal rock
Yeah.
man, probably.
You find out that his entire species are gay, and they
Yeah.
reproduce by holding hands in lava with your best bro.
What was it for, like
Yeah,
20
that was
days?
actually
What did you
kinda
say?
fun.
What was
It was something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly.
That was,
Sure.
I think, the only bit that actually made me laugh.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what made me laugh anymore. I just don't know.
Yeah, Max seems like he doesn't even remember going to see this movie. It's like a fever dream for him.
It feels like a shame because I did like it at the time, but now it's just whatever. Like, I don't care. I thought Christian Bale was at least good, but I don't think they wrote him as well as they could have.
No.
Again, like, because the writing suffers. All these great actors are like left in the dirt. Like Chris Hemsworth, he's really good as Thor. He is that character to me. He has the charisma, and I don't think like if it wasn't him, I wouldn't see it. Like I wouldn't even bother. Like he just brings that to that character, and that's what like grounds. And that's like all these like really good actors, like Robert Downey Jr. or like Chris Evans. They bring like the power to these characters, and that's why you want to see them. But when the writing suffers, like the acting suffers and the direction suffers, and it's like, well, what's even the point? And like Christian Bale, he's a terrific actor, and I kind of like part of what they do with him, and but at the same time, it's like they don't do enough with him.
Yeah.
He's like this guy who's like, his daughter died in like the desert, and that's what they like open with. Like his daughter dies, and then he goes to a god, and he's like, "Why don't you save her?" And then the god's like, "Fuck you," and then like he kills the god, and that could have been like a really interesting thing about like you could have had themes in this movie as well. I feel like they don't have any themes. They were like this could have been about like religion or like faith and all that, and like an explosion of religious faith and all that, but they don't really do that. It just evolves into like, I
Yeah.
guess I'll just fight a lot. I guess I'll have this sword and I'll fight. Okay, great.
Yeah, it's like they had a lot of ideas. They just couldn't be bothered to fully flesh them
It
out.
was like how I felt with like Ethan Hawke in that Moon Knight show.
Yeah.
Well, like he was like quite interesting, and at the end they were just fight. Okay.
Yeah, it's a real shame because I really like where they end up with the character as well. Like, like his final moments, like how he switches from wanting to kill all gods to bring back his daughter.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really sweet. I just wish they would have like developed the character a bit more and shown more of him.
Yeah. It was really good, and like it would like all the mannerisms. He was like very like he seemed like he was kind of insane, but like all the like makeup on him was really good as well. He was like really skinny and like just carrying around this sword all the time. But it's a disappointment. You know, it's quite disappointing because it could have been something great, but instead we got this. It's a
I
shame,
felt that
yeah.
when you said it. I was like, ooh.
There was like a part where like there's like I mean, as much as the effects aren't like the best or whatever, when we talked about that fucking floating head thing, but like when they like shoot themselves to like a moon, and then they like when they get onto the moon it all turns like black and white, like kind of monochrome, and that was quite interesting. I
Yeah,
thought
that was really
kind of
cool.
reminded me of like the Fountain or something, honestly.
Yeah.
All that was pretty cool.
Okay.
That's like it though.
Yeah, I feel
I don't
I was
know.
waiting for you to like say something else.
There's
and
like
you were
more
just-
stuff. There was like
Yeah,
when they
okay.
killed gods, like they bleed gold blood, and that was quite interesting.
Yeah,
That's
Like,
I
kind of
thought that
sick,
looked
to be
sick.
fair.
that looked really good, but I also would have. That's where like I would want more close-up shots being done with there. Because like blood is fucking spraying everywhere. It's like an old Kurosawa movie or something.
Yeah.
But if it was like closer with the shots, it probably would have had more of an impact. But it was just like wide shots and mid shots. It was very stale in that way.
Yeah, there were like a lot of moments I liked, but it's just not enough to save the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame.
Yeah. I don't like that they keep like killing Thor's family and like acting as if that's like some sort of character arc for him.
Well,
They just
everyone
killed
dies.
all of his family, and he hasn't really changed all that much. Like,
Mm.
well, I guess I'm Thor and I'm great. Oh, okay. You should like change a bit with like everyone who dies, or like just don't kill people. So I guess Natalie Portman didn't want to be in any more of these movies. Like, yeah, I'll do it for the paycheck or whatever. And then like she does this, and she's like, I'm not going to be in any more though. I guess we'll just give you cancer then.
Yeah. I hated all their like usages of Guns N' Roses songs.
Oh fuck yeah.
There's like 100% they were just trying to copy what they did with Immigrant Song being in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So they're just like, yeah,
I want it to be 80s.
Guns N' Roses. We got a bunch of their songs we can use.
Mm-hmm. They want it to be like 80s vibe, but like why? And what's the point?
The Guns N' Roses music's the only like 80s sort of thing in the film.
Yeah, but then like they're going for that kind of the vibe in like Ragnarok as well, and also this movie.
Didn't they kind of do that with was it Captain Marvel that they did that with?
Yeah, that was like 90s.
That was like set in
Yeah.
the 90s though.
Oh, this wasn't actually set in.
No,
No.
this is
Oh.
like set in. Well, what are they up to now? Like 2045 or some shit. They're in the future or something because like
I
all
think
that
it's
shit
like
happened with
in the
Endgame.
mid to late 2020s.
Yeah,
Well,
because they
so-
did like skip 5 years from Infinity War to Endgame.
What? So,
What do
so
you
they
mean,
just had
what?
some 80s revival or something. I don't understand why they would. What the spin on that was. I don't know. That
It's just,
like.
no, I think that's more of like an aesthetic choice though.
Oh no!
It's like
yeah,
Thor's
'cause-
going to be like the 80s character now or something.
Yeah, because it kind of
Whatever.
sounded like you. Well, I don't know when I heard like I don't know, the words like love and thunder, it made me think of like like 70s like retro kind of
like
things,
glam
but-
rock and all that.
Yeah,
They were
but
going
no,
for like a glam rock type thing, but like
but with only
with
Guns
like
N' Roses.
the advertisement and the
Oh,
soundtrack.
okay.
Yeah, that's literally it. They don't do anything visually or like
Mhm.
anything like that.
That's really disappointing.
Yeah,
Because if you're gonna do it, just do it.
I liked his like outfit that he had like right at the beginning, where he was like in jeans and like a tank top and this flannel shirt, and I think he should have just worn that the entire time instead of like now he's going to be in this Thor gear. Like, that's boring now. I don't care about this anymore.
Yeah. I kind of enjoyed what they did with the Guardians of the Galaxy at the beginning.
Yeah,
Like-
what do they do with them?
Not really anything, but I kind of enjoyed
They were
them
there.
just being there and them just fucking off.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, okay.
yeah, that was fine. That was all right. Those fucking like they saved that world, and then the people are like, "Here, have these goats," and the goats like scream a lot. And you're like, "Oh, okay. I hope that doesn't come back." And then it just like they keep using these goats screaming all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, why?
I don't get it because I was like, oh, it's probably like because like screaming goats was like a huge meme like 10 years ago,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, it's probably like that. But like, why are you doing a screaming goats meme like in
Yeah.
2022?
oh man, it's annoying. One of the like, actually didn't like when they went to see those gods. They were like at the god place where all the gods were.
No.
And like they were like, that's Zeus and he's awesome. But like Zeus says, like Thor goes there because he says that Gore is like, who's Christian Bale. He's like Gore the God Butcher, and he was like, he's gonna kill us all. And then Zeus is like, he's not gonna kill us all. He just killed a bunch of low level gods. He's not gonna kill me because I'm great and we're all here and we're safe. And I wish that like if like he had come into like that place and killed all of them, that would have been great. And it would have established him as a bigger threat. But what does he do? Kills like a couple of people, and then he kidnaps a bunch of children who end up being saved. And that was it.
Yeah.
Great.
That scene with them visiting the gods doesn't need to be in the movie at all. Literally adds nothing except setting up possibly a sequel.
Yeah, you got to have
got-
the sequel with Hercules, played by
Ma-
Brett
yeah.
Goldstein. I fucking burst out laughing when that happened, man. We actually stayed for the post-credit scene, and then
Who the
like,
hell is that?
Zeus was like, "Oh man, I can't believe this. Hercules, go get him." And it was fucking Brett Goldstein, and I burst out laughing. Oh man, he's a comedian. He's a British comedian. He's like really big now because he's like won a bunch of Emmys for Ted Lasso, that show Ted Lasso on
Yeah.
Apple TV.
He's also got quite a big podcast. So
Yeah,
movies to be
I do
buried
listen to his
with.
podcast. I really like that podcast. I really like him. This is like an actor and a comedian, but
Yeah.
like him showing up in a Marvel movie, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, I just googled him. I recognise him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
I
I've
need to
never
listen
seen
to
him
that
in
podcast,
anything.
actually. Callum tells me all the time it's great, but I've just never listened to it.
It's good.
Did
Yeah.
he have like that mustache as well?
No.
So it's just, I forgot his name like instantly, so I just
Yeah.
looked up Ted Lasso instead. He had like the really thick fucking mustache.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a different guy.
Anyway, yeah. Just like Christian Bale should have gone in there and he should have killed all of them, and that would have been great. But he didn't. Fuck it. What's the point?
What? a shame.
What was the point? Honestly.
And what was the point of this movie?
Do you want to rate it?
Yeah. It's Well, yeah, it sucked. It didn't suck. It was just
Disappointing.
It was disappointing, and like what sucks, I think, is just like that's it, and that's whatever. I think a lot of people are like, well, that's that. That's that.
It seems to be getting a lot of negative reviews from
Yeah.
what I've seen. I think a lot of
Mm.
people are looking at it and being like, oh, they just didn't even try with this
Yeah.
one. And that's my biggest problem. They just didn't try.
I watched this straight after finishing season 3 of The Boys, which is miles better.
Yeah.
So like contrasting now, like just like, what? Why didn't you try?
Mm.
They have this whole thing at the end where like Thor's like, I could go and kill Christian Bale, but I'm gonna like go and see my my girlfriend. He was like, I choose love, Christian Bale. And I'm like, that sounded so hollow. Like, what?
Yeah.
Fucking like whatever, whatever. Oh man.
How lame.
Oh, we did say we were going to talk about the kid. So it's like Chris Hemsworth, he got his kid in, and now like she's going to be in the MCU, and it's like a
Oh, is that his actual kid?
yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
that's quite sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, so like they were like, now it's Thor and this kid, and they called them Love and Thunder, and they run into like battle together. Like,
Yeah, I was
okay.
like, oh my god. But like, I thought that last scene with them together was quite sweet.
Yeah, I
Like,
actually quite like that.
She drew
But,
on his hammer. I thought that was quite cute.
Yeah. I would say I'm interested to see what they do with those two in the future, but I really don't care.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm just done. I'll see
Yeah.
the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie because like I trust James Gunn, but unless
I like James Gunn, but I don't think it's going to be like as good as you'd want it to be.
probably not, but
Mm.
I'll still
Is it-
see it.
It's still like a Marvel movie.
Oh, I'm happy
Yeah.
to say I don't give a shit at all.
But I
Yeah.
mean, I also didn't really like Phase 2 that much, or like a lot of Phase 3, and those two were like really great movies. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be good. But I'll
Maybe.
still watch them, and if they're bad, then I'll never watch a Marvel movie again.
I'll watch Spider-Man again. That's it.
Yeah, that's different. That's not technically Marvel.
I'll watch the
Not anymore.
No, like that other one that they did, well, the new one, Spider-Man,
No
the
Way
home one, No Way Home. Yeah, I was going to say Far From Home. I was like, that was the other one. Yeah,
All of them are
I would
home.
actually watch that one again.
Yeah, I'll
I do,
watch it again. I've got it on Blu-ray. So
even though it's really long. You have to be in the mood for it, but it is just it's a good movie.
yeah,
Do you want to rate it then?
sure. Are we rating it out of anything or?
Do it out of Korg's because he was epic.
Sure. Yeah, it's just like really disappointing, this movie. I just was not having a good time at all. Yeah, just a shame because I love Ragnarok so much. It's like one of my favorite MCU movies. So I was like really excited to see Taika Waititi doing another one. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like really worried about all of Taika's other stuff. Like he's working
Yeah.
on a Star Wars project at some
Oh my
point.
God, he is as well, isn't he? Oh,
I'm like,
no.
I'm hoping he
Is
puts
he?
more effort into that, but now I'm just
Yeah.
like worried that that's not going to be good.
If he doesn't like make it and then take the piss out of it on like a fucking Vanity Fair YouTube
I'm hoping
channel.
the reason why this one was so shit was because he's like, I don't want to do this. I
Yeah.
want to work on Star Wars.
Yeah, maybe he was working on too many things. Oh,
That
He
is the
would,
fatal
like-
flaw of all these directors, right? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm fucking working on Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, Taika Waititi's also like doing 10,000 things at once.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm
He's like
thinking.
the busiest
yeah.
guy in the world, it seems like.
Maybe he just should stick
So-
to not doing. Loads
Yeah, I
of
think
things at
maybe he
once.
should just slow down because if this is what he's going to be producing, then he's like,
He
gonna,
should just
Yeah.
wait it
everyone's
out.
gonna
going to get
slip.
sick of him.
Mm.
People are already getting sick of him, so
Yeah.
it's just going to get
He was
worse.
like one of my favorite directors back when he was like making like Boy and fucking even Jojo Rabbit was like really good.
I
Really
love
great
Jojo
movie.
Rabbit.
And like What We Do in the Shadows is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe just slow it down a little bit, my dude.
Yeah, anyway, 5 out of 10. 5 corks out of 10.
5 calls out of 10, eh? Yeah, I'll give it 5 corkers out of 10 as well. Go and make a Kiwi movie. That'd be nice.
A what movie?
He's got a sports movie coming out soon. It's not a Kiwi one, but it's like about football or something.
Oh,
Well, that'd be
right.
fun.
Called like Next Goal Wins, I think. It was supposed to come out like 3 or 4 years ago, and then they did a bunch of reshoots, and then Army Hammer, that stuff came out, and I think they've redone a lot of the movies. So
Yeah.
Who?
Cool. Yeah, nice. Thanks, Army.
Yeah. Let's just pretend that never happened. Should we segue? Where are we going?
Cool. Thor, Love and Thunder. More like Thor, what a blunder. Next up, we did some movies that we watched. All in a couple of days. It was a free-for-all, so we all chose a movie each. Chris had This Is England. I did The Electrical Life of Louis Wain, and Darcy did the Spider-Verse one. So Chris chose the first one. Take it
Yeah.
away.
So I picked This Is England from 2006, directed by Shane Meadows. The movie is all about a young boy called Sean who he lives in the Midlands in 1983, set in the summer of 1983, and he kind of ends up meeting a group of young people slightly older than him, joins their group, and quickly finds themselves involved with a group of skinheads who are joining the National Front and are radicalising these young guys.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
It's a fun one.
1983. There's a fun one. 1983. We all remember
fun
where we
one.
were when that happened.
Yeah.
Not born. Hallelujah.
I was convinced that I was never going to watch this again.
Oh,
Because
you
I just
watched
remember.
it before?
Yeah. Years and years ago. I just remember how depressing it was.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Okay. Let's watch this then. It's pretty funny. It's got a lot of comedy
Yeah,
in
it's
it.
really fun.
Really funny movie. But it is ultimately very depressing. And I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
I think Max is just upset because they kept insulting the name Harvey.
That's not true. They did that once.
Yeah, but it was a long scene. It went on for a while.
Yeah, it is a good movie, and I like what it says about the time, the 1980s, and like the administration under Thatcher and the Falklands War and all that. How people were very disenfranchised with the government. There was not a lot of jobs going at the time, so I guess that gave way to a lot of racism and a lot of prejudice, where people felt unfairly treated within their own country, and they see people coming in to the country and like making lives themselves, and they find that very unfair. I guess I understand that mindset to a degree, but it also gave way to just a bunch of racism and a lot of prejudice, which was just really prevalent at the time, I think. And
I feel like it's still quite relatable, though, isn't it? Well,
it is, but I mean,
not to that
not
degree,
to that extent.
but no.
I mean, I was going to say, and there was a war going on, but there's a war going on now.
Yeah.
it's
so
a
maybe
different
it's
war
not a far
now.
cry
Yeah,
from it.
no.
But I think this is like, it's quite a vibey movie, and it's rooted like very much so in the English experience, which I hate.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I hate so much. And that's why, like, a lot of this movie, I'm like, this is really like upsetting, or like, I don't like the environments that these people are in, or like the type of people that these people are interacting with. But it's because I know that so well, and it reminds me of like the worst parts of the country that I live in and that I was born in. So I don't think that was like a negative thing for me, but I wasn't having fun most of the time. It was just like quite depressing, because it did remind me of like this is England. This is England.
Yeah.
And it's what the place that I live in, and it's sad.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit of, well, not of Luton per se, but like every single time like the National Front was speaking, I was like, oh God, it's like watching Tommy Robinson on the TV, because he was the founder of the EDL, and that was from Luton, and you just get people like, there was like a lot of like, I guess there's a little bit of like racial tension in Luton in certain areas. If you're from Luton, you probably know which areas I'm talking about. But like, yeah, it was just like really uncomfortable, because it was just kind of like, like when you're of a certain generation, and you know that it's kind of like wrong, and you know like this was the 80s or whatever, but was anyone else like super uncomfortable like the whole time?
Yeah.
Just like everything was weird about it as well, like you know, like the teenagers and the preteens like kissing in the
I
garden
feel like
and shit.
when
It's weird.
I've done so much to try and avoid these specific areas in just how I live my life, it is like it's jarring to go into a movie where you have to watch that and like be a part of it for an hour and a half.
Yeah, like it. I don't like how, like as someone who's like, you know, born of like, you know, what's it, Indian descent? Is it that you got going on?
Yeah, that in a bit.
Have you ever had, not anything like to that extent, but like, have you ever had like someone like chat shit to you in the street or something? Or do you
in
just
the street?
like,
I mean,
you know
no,
what I mean,
because I'm
somewhere,
definitely
you know?
very white. But I mean, I've had like people in like school when I was in school like pick on me and be racist to me, which now it just seems like really stupid to me. I don't really understand the mindset. But like when you pick out something about yourself, or you make something about yourself known to other people that is not their own experience, you make yourself a target, and people will pick on anyone else for anything that's different.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like picking on someone for their flared trousers, for example.
Yeah.
Even though you're wearing a bowler hat and you look like a dick.
I mean, it upset me like when I was at school, I was being bullied for it, because that's like that's my family, you know. That's
it's not fair, is it?
It's like generations of
Yeah.
people who have like gone through hardships and like lived so many lives and all that, and it's like, how can you pick out just this one thing and be like, that's something about you that I don't like, and I'm going to make fun of you for it.
Yeah, like, I can never tell whether it's like, obviously, you know, because being a British white female presenting person, I can't really obviously relate to anything that's happening here, but like, do you just think it's like, do you think kids are just like really ignorant, or do you think it's just like, you know, like they hear something in the, you know, like from their parents or something, they're like, oh, that must be really weird, like you're not white or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, when you're growing up, you're like, it's quite easy for you to be, you know, roped into that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite easy for someone to kind of convince you that things are one way. I think one of the things I love about this movie so much is it kind of reminds me a lot of my own like childhood and growing up around people in school, growing up like in an area that was maybe a little bit better off than some places in Portsmouth, where it's a like very predominantly white sort of area. So there was
really
a
is.
lot of racism like in my school growing up. There was a lot of like, especially homophobia. That was a huge thing growing up, and it was hard for me, kind of surrounded by all these different people and being like told to believe one thing. It was kind of hard for me to think differently. And so like, I watch this movie and I look at like characters like Sean, who kind of gets like convinced that you know, things are this way, and immigrants are coming and stealing our jobs and that sort of thing. It's like quite easy
it's
for
like
him
that
to
brainwashing stuff.
get brainwashed like that. And I kind of remember back to when I was that age and kind of this similar sort of thing happening to me.
See, we never really like obviously we're in Luton, it's one of like the most like diverse populations for like other like ethnicities and stuff. So I've always grown up around like
People of color,
of color, Asian people, Chinese people, you fucking name it, everyone's there, right?
everyone's in Luton.
And it's fine,
Luton's
it's
where
cool.
it's at.
But like when I was growing up, weirdly enough, it wasn't marginalized to like Asian people, Pakistani people, Bangladesh, none of that. It was always Polish people for some reason. Everyone in Luton always had a problem with Polish people.
I think that's a very big thing in the UK.
I have no idea why though, but I think it was similar to the whole, oh, they come over here and they work as a bin man. And it's like, well, you don't want to fucking work as a bin man. They're just taking jobs you don't want.
They took my bin man job.
That you didn't even want. I fucking hate that mentality. And I feel like that's one of the things about this film that really like makes me uncomfortable, is that I'm so against that kind of like mindset that I find it really like, I just find it so hard to understand that you could actually look at someone and think, oh, look, they've made a life for themselves. Oh, look, this man owns a business in this country. They fucking like attack a man who owns his own like corner. He owns a store, and it's like he made that business from the ground up, right? and you're going to be like, how dare you take our jobs? He made that job himself.
Go in there and they shit on his floor and
like that was
call
his
him
job.
racist
He didn't
names.
take a job. He made the job.
Yeah.
And I hate that kind of shit because it's like, it's just such an outdated mentality. And
even
I
like
hate
the
it.
kids know that, right? And a lot of
They
them
do, and they're all
decide to go
uncomfortable.
like, did you like they go to this rally, this nationalist rally, where like a lot of angry white men are cheering about how they need to like take their country back or whatever. In that way, I mean, a lot of it hasn't changed, and that's a shame. But a lot of the kids see through it, and it's like the new generation, like breaking through from the old generation who are kind of more stuck in their ways. And I liked seeing the kids go, "This is bullshit," and like that. I think Jack O'Connell, he said in the car, he was like, "You don't believe all that shit, do you?" to Stephen Graham, and he just goes ballistic at him. This character combo, who I really like.
Yeah, what a name, by the way.
He was a really interesting character. He's a very unlikable guy, but I understood where he was coming from, and especially like more towards the end in the third act, you kind of see what he's about more so. But he goes ballistic on him.
Yeah, he seems like someone who's like very like insecure about the fact that these people, I say these people, like people, anyone actually seems to be like any better off than him. Like especially with a family dynamic, like he just randomly switches the second someone talks about like
having a nice family,
and like
family
life. Yeah.
Obviously, that wasn't his experience.
Yeah,
no, he's a character who's like he's not had a good life. Like he's not got a good family. He's like very miserable and kind of views like the whole like National Front and idea and the idea of like hating immigrants and stuff like that as kind of just like a target for all of his frustration and aggression.
It's like an excuse, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I think makes the character so interesting because like I think deep down he does have a good heart. He's just so frustrated and angry with everything. He just kind of points at somewhere that he really shouldn't, and that's something they actually tackle in the show a bit more. They develop, he's not in the show loads, but they do a lot of developing the character and they do a lot of growth of him kind of coming into his own, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of like parallels you can take in like history where like people will like target like a certain group of people just because they just want an excuse to be like, oh, this thing's going wrong, so it must be someone else's fault.
When everything's going wrong, it's kind of hard for you to like work out why. So when you've got, oh, it's all because of this, it's kind of
someone can come along and be like, this is what it is, and then you get a lot of people rallying behind that. There was even the point where they were at the nationalist rally, and like one of the kids goes, I don't think this is right, and then another guy goes, well, there wouldn't be this many people here if it wasn't right. And
that's not how it works.
It's a very dangerous mindset that I feel a lot of people do fall into a lot of the time. You might not even fully agree with it at points, but like if you feel like these systems breed like community, and when you're in a community,
that, like
it's very hard to get away from that.
Yeah, especially when you've got a guy like Combo or whatever talking about like he makes you feel like you are in your own like family space with like your own people and whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of people, if they're vulnerable enough, they're going to be like, oh yeah, they're like my family though. And you're going to get into all sorts of like stupid shit. Like basically what happens to Sean essentially. He's like, oh, my dad died. This guy's basically like a father figure to me, so I'm going to stick with him. And then he ends up watching someone nearly get beaten to fucking death. So
yeah, there's a like really great scene where Combo's got that huge like monologue where he's like basically trying to recruit all these kids, and like Sean gets upset because he like says that everyone who like went to Falklands and died for nothing. He's like, my dad died there, and he like sits him down. He kind of uses the fact that his dad died as like
ammunition.
Yeah, it's like a way to bring him in. He's like, your dad was lied to. We've all been lied to. It's time to actually stand up.
Do you know what? I actually don't know a lot about like the Falkland what was it like? What were we fighting for? What was it about? Like I actually don't know.
If I remember correctly, it was about the Argentinians taking control and like abdicating from British rule. So we had to go in there and like start this. What Thatcher like started this war, and it was like It was definitely legal. I know that much. She did some illegal shit in that war.
But that
like
bit was legal.
the actual sending us to war was legal, and it was like guarding sovereignty and all that. It was about sovereignty primarily, I think. It was.
Oh, the Queen's people, all that shit.
I mean, like Combo says in the movie, Thatcher's sending us on a phony war. But what the fuck even is the Falklands? Nobody knows, but so many people died there, and like it almost feels inconsequential. And it's like, yeah, why did you even bother? If like all these people were just going to die over what? A flag?
Yeah. It does seem kind of.
Every time the Falklands War is brought up, it does kind of rub me the wrong way. I don't know like the most about it, but I know that it doesn't really sit well with me, everything that happened in it.
No, it does.
Yeah.
From what it sounds like, it does sound like something that.
Especially they celebrated like the anniversary a little while back, and I saw it on the news.
Oh.
And they were like interviewing a lot of like the veterans who had served there, and I don't know, I just like really, it got to me on like a weird level. I was like, well.
Yeah, I feel
like celebrating the anniversary of a war. Like, it's like fucking
There's a lot
weird.
of like Britain's great, England is great, like long live the Queen and all that. And
it's that fucking nationalism shit all over again.
I can't ever get behind that because I know like this country is like so marred in its history, and it's done so many horrible things to a lot of countries. A lot of countries have suffered at the hands of like the English. I just can't get behind it. I don't feel the amount of patriotism that I think people felt back in the 80s.
Yeah, and I think,
definitely not.
I think this film's quite critical of that as well. Like, towards the end of the movie, there's like a bunch of archive footage of the Falklands. There's like a huge section of just like people carrying like dead bodies over music.
Oh, it's like it's fucked.
It's clearly like them saying, "Why did we do this? Like, just for our country and just for our flag." Just for like the pride of our country.
There's a lot of like flag stuff in it. People like give flags to people as a gift. Here's the English flag, they're saying.
I wouldn't even know what to do if someone gave me an English flag. You hang it in like their windows.
And that always like gets me like every time I like go about town, like I see like a flag, like an English flag in like someone's window, I'm like, there lives a prick.
Do you know what? I'm pretty sure that in my dad's shed there is an England flag in the window. Yeah. But it isn't anything really to do with like England as a country. I'm pretty sure he has it in there because he likes the English football team.
Yeah, I feel like
I think that's why it's in the window. Because my dad's not as like, patriotic as like, someone who would like hang an English flag out of their window. But
it's like what England's football team? Like, yeah, cool. Like, who else are you going to support? Fucking like Brazil or something? You don't live there.
I mean, people do though. Like people genuinely do. But yeah, no, I just think it's really funny because when you mentioned it, I was like, oh my God, yeah, like we used to have England flags in the house all the time, but literally nothing to do with the fact that we were English, just football.
You can support Brazil. I was just joking.
No, you can't. You're gatekeeping Brazil, Max.
Yeah, it's just, it was a lot of like hollow words at that like rally as well.
Yeah.
Like, they were just like cheering because he said the word England.
He was like,
we're Englishmen, and they were like, we're
not racist, we're realists.
He said to a room full of white men.
That bit made me howl. I don't know why that made me laugh so much, but it was because, even before he said England, I went, oh, he's going to say something about being English, and then he went, England, and everyone went, whoa. Yeah. I was like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, if you're there, wouldn't that just be like, so, like, not maybe back then, but like, how cringe would that be if you were sitting in there thinking, oh God, like I'm British and I have to listen to I don't know. Stuff like that makes me really uncomfortable. Like, I'm not ashamed of being like British or English, but like when I watch stuff like this, I'm always just like, I'm so sorry. That's fucking cringe.
I just think you have to understand what come
happened.
from.
Yeah.
And you have to understand at least a little bit about like the history of a place. Like, especially if like that's where you live and like that's where you call your home, then you need to do some research on it. Honestly, like I was like, what are you doing? Like, instead of like getting up and be like, oh, I'm so fucking proud to be English. I'm not, like, because I know that like it's just countries, It's just like a way to. It's more like division and like how I see like people just being divided over like just trivial shit. It's like, oh, my country is better than your country. Fuck off, is it? No, of course it's not.
Yeah, it makes me think of that Shikara song where it's like countries are just lines drawn in the sand.
Yeah.
It's literally all it is, man. Like I don't know. I just feel like people that like go to war over like, that their chosen country is just like, are you all right?
Mhm.
Like, you could literally like go over like a border to another country, and would it be any different? Not fucking really. You're just in a different part of the world. I don't know. Stuff like this just astounds me because I don't understand it. But then I'm also kind of, I'm not happy that, any of this stuff's happened in history, but stuff like this needs to happen in order for people to grow and be like, fucking hell, that's fucked. We can't do stuff like this. But also, this film just made me so uncomfortable. Like I felt uncomfortable before, but this just made me feel uncomfortable in ways I didn't even like think you could be uncomfortable about.
Yeah.
Like you just want to get into the TV and just stop it all. Like, nah, you fucking weirdos, stop doing what you're doing.
No. A lot of toxic masculinity going about as well.
Oh, fuck it. Real men don't cry.
Real men don't cry.
Shut
all that
up.
shit. And,
Shut up.
Trying to be, I guess, like, I think there was probably like some sort of like upset with a lot of men who like didn't go to the Falklands and they saw people die and they saw men dying in the Falklands War. I guess there was like some sort of like insecurity that came
like you
about
weren't
with
man
them.
enough
Like,
to go die in the Falklands?
You couldn't go because like you weren't drafted or like you were sick or something and all that. I don't know, but like I'm sure that probably played into it a bit. And I guess with all these people gone in the war, like you're left to like be the man, be the big man of the house and all that, and trying to hold up your country in a way while everybody else is gone. But that obviously just gave way to like ego and arrogance and like people thinking they were better than other people, and it's just like why? Like
one thing I would say about Britain is that like I know you get the odd like groups of people who are like very patriotic, but like I'm very glad that we're not on like the side of America where we're like almost deluded into thinking we're like the best like country in the world, because stuff like that really makes me cringe. Like, do you know where you are?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people in England who like England fucking best country in the world is.
I mean, yeah, maybe there is, but I feel like in America it's so much like worse.
Well, it's bigger.
Yeah, right.
More
fair enough. More people to say it. Yeah, fair enough. But I just don't feel that way about Britain. And I know my dad, obviously, like I said, my dad's not like, like a, that patriotic, but he is pretty like proud of like the British country. But I think
it's fine to be proud about the country you live in, but I just, you have
like
to understand.
Limit, right?
There is a limit, and I think you have to understand what makes it the country that you live in. And there's a lot of shit that had to happen in order for things to be the way they are. It's not all sunshine and daisies, It's like people stepped in the shit to get where we are today.
Yeah, I guess that's like every country really, suffered, isn't it? Yeah. But I don't know, there's just something about like, I don't know, maybe it's just me in general, but I've never understood like being proud of somewhere where you were like born. Like, I didn't ask to be born in Britain. Why should I be so proud of the fact that I'm British? Like, I was literally just born one day. Why should I give a shit? Like, I don't care. Like, I mean, sure, whatever, Britain's not that terrible a country. Like, we're actually pretty, well off in most respects. But yeah, I just never got it, like, ever. Like, doesn't matter what country you're from, I don't get it.
Yeah.
You're literally born there. You just came out of someone's vagina. Like, who gives a shit? I don't know.
Unless you were cesarean or grown in a tube.
Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah. Or the things you don't consider.
God, Darcy, please, just be inclusive for once.
Oh, no.
It reminded me a lot of like Andrea Arnold's movies as well. And the way that she shoots British places. Or like English places.
Proper grimmy, innit?
I saw, like, we watched Red Road on this podcast. And that was very, like, a lot of, like, council estates and all that, and that's where that was set. I also watched Fish Tank as well, which was by her, and that was a lot of like council estate type
it's like
areas.
Proper grotty
it's very,
and grimy.
Yeah, it's like the grotty feel that you get with like the parts of England that aren't like tourist destinations and all that. It's like here's what the rest of it's like actually.
Did it even say where in the Midlands it was?
No, it's like just unspecified. It was shot mostly in Nottingham, I think.
Oh God. Poor Nottingham. Jesus Christ, it looked like a
Yeah, I
shithole.
can't remember if they ever like say it in the show, but
Yeah.
He did look like a shithole. I'm so sorry, guys.
But yeah, it did remind me of Andrew Arnold's movies in that way. I think it was going for like, this is England. This is what England is, and like, it's not the Paddington Bear movies. It's like most of it. Imagine if fucking Paddington Bear was set in this environment. Like, you just turn it off, right? This is not where Paddington Bear wants to go.
No.
He's making marmalade in a sock.
Comes out of his council estate, fucking has to try to open the door 5 times before he can get out.
His door's jammed. Oh my god.
Some homeless guy banging on the door to tell him to let him in.
Someone's buzzing from downstairs. Let me up.
If there was like something I didn't really gel all that well with, and there is quite a bit, honestly. I don't think it's like a perfect movie for me. It's quite like a lot of the music didn't gel well with me, or a lot of it, because what's happening is like it's already quite sad, but then the music's like it's really dour, like really dour notes that are playing, just like a lot of like sad piano music that's like, even just when people are talking, like Combo comes back from jail and he's like telling the story about like how he was like about his pudding and like his racist,
and there was like
this
sad
racist
piano
story about pudding, and like it's just like this sad piano music playing, and everyone's like looking really sad, and like you didn't need to do that. I don't think.
I don't know. It kind of made me feel like this is a sad reflection
it made
of the.
It feel more depressing than the movie, and I think warrants.
Especially when he says "pud pud," and it's just like piano going.
Wow, boy, give me your pud pud.
I really like the music in it, but like I can completely understand how someone could look at it and think it's like emotionally manipulative and stuff. I think it's like, for me, it really is bordering on that.
Yeah.
But there's a few bits of music I really like throughout. Like there's contrast, a really great contrast throughout the movie where there's like the shots of people walking, where there's like a scene earlier on with like Sean and like all the like guys like Woody and Lowell and all those guys just like walking along with Northern Soul playing, and it's like seems really happy and everyone's like having a great time. And then like it's contrasted later on by a scene of him walking with Combo and all like his guys, and it's like all sad music.
Yeah.
It's like
Who
completely
even works?
different
Now
tone.
it's
It's
sad
literally
Reservoir
just
Dogs.
Like, it's
Yeah,
just walking, but
Who the bloody hell even were those two guys? I was like, one's Mr. Shithead and the other one's
What Combo's
Tall.
guys?
like who the
It's
fuck?
just his mates.
Like, I
And like didn't talk at all.
yeah. I mean, like, who? What the fuck? Wasn't gelling with them. Although it was quite funny when one of them tried to take a shit in that shop. I was
Yeah.
greatly amused by that,
That's
and
one
that was
part
it.
I ever really vividly remember from this movie.
Yeah, because it's
I haven't
so
seen
like
it for years,
insane.
but I remember that part. I remember that part, and I remember Milk getting beaten up.
It's like
yeah, Milky.
it's like something out of Jackass, you know, when you like walk into a store and you like just shit on the floor and his like poo was like orangey. It was like weird.
That scene where Combo was beating up Milky though was like, oh, for fuck's sake!
It's
like
horrible.
just turns on a dime. He's like, oh, you got it all, haven't you? Because he's telling them about like how he like goes home and like his family are there, and like there's like never a lonely atmosphere. It's like,
And it's, like,
all the
always
food, you
fed
should
and
come round. We can make you dinner, you know, and all, he's like listing all these like really interesting like diverse foods, and then he just like flips on a dime. He's like, you think you got it so good, don't you? And he beats the shit out of him. And I think that said a lot about the character. I think in that moment it was like, this is clearly a guy he's
so insecure.
He asked him like, you haven't said anything about your mum and dad, so I guess like his mum and dad probably weren't around a lot. Or like there's that element to the character. I guess he seems very lonely.
He's like saying what makes a bad dad. He says that like over and over and over again, as if like he has a bad relationship with his dad, or like his dad was never there. Or
That's what it
I
sounded
was like, that's
to
a
be fair.
trap question.
Yeah,
you can't
don't-
answer that in a correct way.
Yeah, never answer it. Just say nothing.
No, but he did try to say nothing, and then he got beaten up. You know?
That is true. I think he was going to get beaten up either way, though. Like, let's be honest. That man
And
was
he
so
starts
unhinged.
like throwing out all this
Yeah.
racist language. It's like, it's so sad.
Yeah, it's
so
really
upsetting.
It was, yeah.
But
it
then
was-
like he clearly regrets it afterwards.
yeah, he's like
I'm not saying
screaming,
that like
isn't
makes it okay, or like that he's a nice person, but like he clearly didn't actually like want him to die or anything. It was just like that all taken over, and like I guess when you're faced with like a person who is like so much the polar opposite of you, or like has everything that you
Wish you had. Yeah.
that's very upsetting or like difficult to deal
There's
with.
a lot of resentment to come through that, especially when, I don't know, I also felt like he took it upon himself to be like, this guy's also like of Jamaican descent, and therefore...
Do you consider yourself Jamaican or English? Answer me that.
That was so uncomfortable as well.
I was like, dude, like,
what the fuck?
what's the right answer to that even? Like, what do you mean?
Oh, that's what I mean. The answer is both. Like, there is...
It just is, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
How can you answer that? Like, oh, are you one or the other? I mean, like...
Most of the time, a lot of people aren't one or the other.
They're both, normally.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean... Or just like nowadays, I think we've got like, people just going everywhere.
Yeah.
People are going everywhere. And you get like a lot of people who meet other people abroad or like, or whatever, and you get a lot of... It's just like a lot of a mixture. And I like it that way, you know. It's like it's not all these borders that you have to abide by. It's like, yeah, we should be more like willing to integrate with other people. And it's sad to see countries fighting against each other because like one country thinks they're fucking better than the other. It's
it is pathetic, to be honest. Like, I don't know, we're the spice of life, man. Just let people be people.
That's what's so upsetting about this war right now. It's like it's just a lot of like
but
like
no
prejudice
one
and like people thinking that they're better than other people. And
But I think that comes down to only one person truly wanted the war. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of things.
Yeah,
it is a lot of things. I'm not going to chalk it up to like this happened because this one guy was like mad. That's part of it, definitely.
I think I'd say that's the biggest part of it.
How do you declare war? It's not like one guy goes, yeah.
Oh no. It comes down to that whole like, you know how people like gravitate towards like-minded people or whatever. Obviously, when you've got all these people that are like, yeah, sure, we're great, let's go do the thing. Then you've got some problems to be had, which is why the world just needs to.
There's a lot of other stuff I love in the movie as well. I love the writing. I think the dialogue is all really great. It's like, it just feels real.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really does feel like Shane Meadows took these like conversations and like the things that happen in the movie from like conversations that he actually had like when he was younger.
Probably
it's
did.
Just like
yeah,
and like all the characters as well, and the film and the subsequent shows. They just feel like real people. They feel like people that I grew up with and that I knew. I feel like a lot of these characters are like, they like just feel really familiar.
What, you knew people with shaved mullets and full fringes?
Yeah, man.
A lot of great, interesting, very interesting hairstyles and clothing choices in this.
Yeah.
Got old Sean at the end throwing the England flag into the sea, which was a bit overt for my taste, but he was like wearing double denim on a Wednesday.
Do you know what? Couldn't even blame him, to be honest. It looked kind of cold. He was just trying to keep warm.
People with crazy hairstyles and all that.
It was the 80s, baby.
Who was that girl he was with? Smell. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm called
like
Smell.
Boy George or something.
Like Karma Chameleons.
Karma Chameleon vibes just shooting off of her. Yeah.
Yeah. I love a lot of the performances as well. I think everyone's really great.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, especially Stephen Graham. He is incredible in this movie. I was like always quite a big fan of him, but I remember when I watched this movie, he instantly like became one of my favorite actors. I think he's just insanely good in this.
Yeah, he became one of my favorite actors when I saw him in Venom 2.
Yeah, he was great.
When was he in Venom 2?
He was
a police guy.
Yeah, he was a guy.
I like Thomas Turgoose, who plays Sean a lot as well. He's really good in this. I think he's really funny. He got the role basically because he is that character. Like he'd never acted before. He was banned from the school play because of his like bad behavior, apparently. And when he was like given the option to audition for the film, he demanded £5 to do it.
That's great. That's great. I hope they gave him his £5.
Yeah,
He's
apparently he
probably
was
worth
like
way more than £5.
really rude in the auditions and stuff, and was like swearing at everyone. And
You're perfect.
yeah, he was like instantly hired because of that.
No.
It was
Yeah.
probably made for him, to be fair, if he is actually like that in real life.
I won't say that's the kind of thing you have to do to get a role. But, I mean, it worked for him, so...
Well, he could just say he was method acting, you know?
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, I did like him a lot.
Yeah. He was a cool kid.
All right.
Should we rate
yeah,
this?
should we rate
'Cause I
it
feel like
then?
we've been, like the,
Sure.
Yeah.
the sky's
It's like-
gone
yeah, it's
blue.
like 10 at night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We've been talking quite a while, to be fair. So
Mhm.
bloody
Cool.
4. I'll blame it on 4. Right, go ahead.
What are we doing out of, Chris?
smells.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think this was a really fantastic movie. Rewatching it after watching the show was a really interesting experience, because the show is, I wouldn't say it's like completely different, but it's definitely, it doesn't like tackle racism or anything. It's not really about the Falklands or anything. It's kind of much more just character drama, like showing all these characters growing up. The show is incredible. It's probably my favorite TV show at this point. I think it was just really fantastic experience, and I highly recommend it to both you guys.
Mhm.
It's definitely very hard hitting and very upsetting at points. Some stuff that happened in the show are like genuinely some of the most disturbing stuff I've ever seen. But
Great.
it's great. It's so good. I give both the film and the show, what was it, 10 smells out of 10. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. I didn't think it was quite as fantastic as you, but I do like it a lot. And now I never have to watch it again. I like a lot of what it's going for. There was a lot that kind of, I felt like I kind of dropped off a bit. There's stuff that I thought you could have probably done without that. But ultimately, I think it's probably a movie you should watch. It's quite an important movie, and I think it paints an interesting picture of a very dark time in English history. I'll give it 7 smells out of 10. 7 smells forever. Never going to watch it again, thanks. Because it's so depressing.
You're just trying to fill up the space while Darcy's on her
Darcy's
phone.
like completely clocked out. Doesn't understand what's going on.
So, no, sorry, our work things come up, and it's actually
It's 10 at night, bruv.
yeah, I know, it's actually really, really pissed me off. Anyway, yeah, I liked the movie, but I thought I was gonna like it more because Chris kept like banging on about recommending it, like, yeah, I think you're really gonna like this movie. I think you're gonna love this movie. And I was like, yeah, I liked it, but I didn't like 10 out of 10 fall in love with it or anything. So 7 smells out of 10.
Yeah. Maybe you'll like the show more.
Yeah, maybe actually, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I recommended a movie. Came out last year. It was directed by Will Sharp. And it's called The Electrical Life of Louis Wain. Me and Darcy saw this movie. A
was
couple
like
of
January,
months ago.
wasn't
It was
it?
like January. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
it
was.
came out like bang.
Yeah,
like,
it came out January 1st in the UK.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it was.
That's
It was
that.
a New Year's exploration for us.
yeah. It's about Louis Wain, who was a real man. He was an artist.
Mhm.
He was an inventor, an entrepreneur, and a caretaker, and he adopts like a stray kitten. It's about his life. It's about it's a biopic about his life and how he made cats like a mainstay in like culture, I guess. How people like adopted cats and made them pets. But it is about a lot of like pivotal moments within his life that were I guess it's very sad, you know. It's like a chronicle of like this sad life that he led, where just like horrible things happen to him. And you get brief moments of like beauty in it, where like he's having like just the best time ever. But ultimately, I found it to be a very upsetting and kind of dour movie. But also, it has this kind of through line, where like, it's like the electrical life of Louis Wain, and he's always going on about like there's electricity within people, and it doesn't like go in like and there's like lots of lights and like he invented electricity or whatever. It's about more like the aura of people and like how people interact with one another. I think it's probably it's more about like giving people a chance and like seeing that people are more than you might give them credit for at face value. I really like it. I wanted to watch it again, see if my opinion changed. I think it's a visually stunning movie. It's like a 1.37 by 1 aspect ratio. It's kind of like a box. But I really enjoyed this movie when I saw it the first time. Kind of wanted to see if opinions changed. I know Chris hasn't seen it, so I wanted to get his opinion as well. What do we think?
Yeah, it was a really sweet movie. I liked it a lot.
Nice. Yeah. How about you, Darcy? Something like you have seen it before,
I thought Chris
obviously.
was gonna. I
No, I was
was
just giving my
expect...
base level for.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, no. I still enjoyed it. I've like studied a little bit about the artist himself, like when I was doing like my pre-degrees and stuff. So when I heard about this movie coming out, I was like, okay, this could be quite interesting. And it was actually like, it was kind of what I sort of expected it to be like, because the man is literally schizophrenic and bloody loves cats. And I was like, do you know what? This could be this could be a movie for me. And I still really enjoyed it the second time around. So needless to say, great little movie.
It's one of the great schizophrenic cat movies.
There's so very little of them around. I feel like we need more
few.
representation. No, I really like the whole, like, you know, when artists get like a movie or like a, you know, like is it biopic kind of thing?
Biopic, yeah.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing. Like I've watched a fair few of them now. Like I watched one a couple of years ago about Egon Schiele. So yeah, I really like that kind of thing. So I was really keen to watch it, and yeah, still liked it. So it was good.
Yeah,
and lots of pretty cats.
A lot of pretty cats, a lot of pretty colours, and all that, and like the way it's shot. There is like a shimmer throughout the movie, which I think it contrasts very well with like the film it's shot on.
It's very like pastel-y and or vintagey.
Very kind of vintagey, kind of pastel-y. It's, I guess, like it has like a lot of like colour, like very faintly, or like it shimmers a bit. And I think that was probably the electricity of it that they were talking about most of the time. That's kind of what I took it as. It's like, it's like, kind of everywhere, and like that's what connects people to each other.
Beams of light and stuff. Like there was like that particular bit where him and I've forgotten her name, his wife, are like sitting in that like garden area, like this woodland area, and it's like really pretty. And it kind of reminded me of like one of those like George Seurat paintings, like the ones that are like I think it was like pointillism and stuff, where it like looks like a painting because it like stops and then goes back out. And I thought it was really cool. Like I like the kind of like touches that they kind of add in with like the artistic like
it's a very artsy movie.
It is a very artsy movie.
You show this to like whoever. Maybe it's not for everyone. This is like a pretentious artsy movie, but it is also trying to say something about this guy who lived in like and his life.
A very strange life indeed.
A lot about mental illness and how like just because like you're mentally ill, or like maybe you don't interact with people in the same way that like people you would expect to normally would, like if you came from just like more of a neurotypical kind of world, I guess.
Yeah, like supposedly the older he got and the worse his like schizophrenia became, the more like the cats started to look more like geometric like shapes of cats rather than actual cats. So like it was like becoming more like symmetrical pictures of like geometry and like you know, just like of like florets and stuff, and then like this cat image in the middle, but like doesn't actually look like a cat anymore, just like this baseline of a cat. And I love that kind of shit, because if you look at his work, it's like so obvious that like it started off like, you know, you see all the, you know, the playful cats and stuff in like the newspapers and stuff he was doing. It was like actual cartoon imagery where it was like seated in, okay, it's surrealist, but it's like you can tell they're cats.
Yeah.
And like the longer it goes on, just the more batshit like the work becomes. But like, yeah, just before he died, it was just like almost like unrecognizable cat images. And I just thought it was so like fascinating to like especially like to study about, because we there's like similar artists that like take like certain drugs and things and then will like try to like replicate things that are similar and they don't look anything like it. So it's just, I don't know, I just find that kind of thing fascinating. He was just like a very interesting kind of guy. Like his life was really, really sad, but like at the same time kind of, I want to say not normal, but like I don't think anything like overtly like insane really ever happened to him if you think about it.
No. I mean, it was just like he lost a lot of people.
Yeah, it was like he was just like disconnected from reality towards the end. It was just and that's probably what made some of his artworks like really interesting, especially when what was that? Olivia Colman, the beautiful
The
narrator.
yeah.
Yeah, when she's like, oh, the more anguish he had in his life, the more beautiful his pictures became. And I
Yeah.
was like, that is such a true, like creative, like person.
That was an
struggle,
upsetting
isn't it?
line, I think. He was
But
like,
we all felt it though. Let's be honest. All three of us were like,
yeah,
oh damn.
like he found the more depressed he got, the more like, interesting his work became.
Yeah.
And, like that's a dangerous thing to realize.
It's true. It is true though. Like I think, a lot of people within like our artistic creativity can kind of relate to that kind of thing. But I think a lot of it also comes down to maybe not with him, but like especially with people like me, I like to use it as like a means of kind of just doing something else for a while. When things get too much, you kind of like get lost in creating something, being productive and doing something else. And I don't know, there was just something really like, I think he just became immersed in like this kind of like, me and my wife, we had this kitten and cats make us happy and I want to live on the cats with her and that kind of stuff. And I just found it was like really heartbreaking, but like really sweet at the same time.
I don't even know that I would say like, and then when he was like super upset, like his work got better. I just think it was like a different kind of style that he was going for. Where it wasn't so
bright,
like in his head all the time. And like, honestly, I don't like the idea of like this trope of like the tragedy of the artist who's like so depressed all the time and like that's what makes their art great. I think you should be able to recognize what makes your art great without marring yourself in like either solitude or like just depression and thinking that if you get more depressed, your art will be better, because I don't think that's true at all.
No, I mean, obviously, like, I think it's quite relatable because we have all been through like periods of like, when you get when you get depressed or whatever, and it gives you like some strange like material to work with, or you're like motivated to do something, or you come up with like a really good idea or whatever. But in like recent time, I feel like now that I'm like in a better state of mind, you don't really relate to it as much anymore. Like, when you're like, oh, I don't have to be like fucking miserable as shit or dying, whatever, to create something good. Like, you can just be good.
Yeah. I don't
because you
know
have
saying
talent.
like, don't create art if you're sad. I think that's the perfect
No, there's a balance,
reason
isn't
to
there?
create art.
Yeah.
But it's all about expression, and that's a way to express what you're feeling in that moment. And it should, I think it should take some of that away ultimately.
Yeah,
to be like,
it can just
I'm
be
feeling
whatever.
like horrendous. Let's do like a piece of art, and then that's something that you put some of your sadness into that, and it takes it away for a bit. I think that's kind of what he did. But it is a dangerous thing to realize that depression makes you a better artist. It's also more dangerous, I think, to seek it out.
Yeah, I don't understand people that like, I don't know, you like you don't want to like psychologically like convince yourself that you can only make good art if you are miserable as shit, because I don't think it entirely works like that. It's just in history we've seen it time and time and time again, where you have like Van Gogh, for fucking instance, like he was quite mentally unwell as well, and he made his best art when he was in one of those asylums up in I think it was somewhere in France.
That's where he lived.
Well, there was a specific place in France where he was in an asylum, and that's where he did the Starry Night. He was looking outside of it. So it's all because I'm just writing this fucking book, so I've just researched into like loads of this. And he was like, apparently he drew it from like memory during the day. He would look at the sky at night and then draw it during the day. So he never actually drew it from like, what's that, real still life? Like he never actually like drew the sky from the sky.
Yeah, I think
it's just that trope. It's just a trope
It is
of
a trope,
you just got to be like Egon Schiele as well. He was like, I don't know, he was fucking dying of like the fucking influenza, the Spanish flu, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that shit.
Yeah, but like, who's to say what art is better than what? You know,
It isn't.
who's to
It's all
say that like
subjective.
Louis Wayne's art when he was at his most upset is better than when he was at his happiest?
Yeah,
Because
it's
I
just
really
different.
fucking love the parts in this movie where he's so happy and he's with Emily, who's played by
That's
Claire
it.
Forty.
Couldn't remember her name.
That's like some of the best parts of this movie is just when he's like so happy because he's such a lonely guy and he doesn't really have any friends, and like she's his only friend.
Yeah,
You get
but-
this like
yeah.
small. It is a small section of the movie where like he's just at his happiest, and I think that's it. He's played so fucking well by Benedict Cumberbatch. It's like it's such a performance that I got swept under the rug because he did Power of the Dog, and like nobody saw The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne.
Yeah, because
they're just like I think they're just both like fantastic performances.
I think just a lot of people probably heard the title of the film and went, "What the fuck is this? I'm never watching."
Don't care about that.
I mean, I told someone at work yesterday that we were doing the podcast tonight, and I was like, I told him what films we were watching. I told him what this, like, The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne. He's like, "Oof."
Yeah, it's not a marketable title.
No, it's not. That's what makes it worse, because for people like me who already know who he was, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" Like, you know, like little fucking art pixies are coming out, like, "Oh, that's cool." And then all the other people are like, "Oh, it's a guy who has a cat. Like, what is this movie about?"
It's the guy that made Cats cool.
He did make Cats cool.
He was the original cat meme man.
He was a cat meme man. The thing is, like, I think I don't know. I think maybe he did play as like his own important part in like history as well. Like forget art for a second. He literally made it so that like people had a different perspective on like cat. Like people,
he changed the world basically.
Yeah, like without even knowing it, because he just wanted to draw his stupid fucking cat. He was like, "Oh yeah, look, now people can come out of the cat closet, quote unquote, and have cats in that." Sorry, there is a daddy long legs in here, and
bug.
I fucking hate them. So I'm now hyper aware.
There's two here.
Is there two?
Yeah, there's two.
Nah,
I'm both on the ceiling.
Nah, I'm fucking leaving. You watch. Like, if one comes near me and I go silent, listeners are like, "I'm not here anymore. I've deserted the mic.
She's been eaten by a daddy long leg."
Yeah, I also like this kind of commentary on how it is set over like a lot of years. It is his life. It's like the life of Louis Wayne. It starts when
it's a lot of years.
Like he's relatively young, I guess 30s, 40s. But like you see how he's kind of competing. He's like this really great artist, and people are hiring him because he's a great artist. I guess like maybe you wouldn't be able to get a job because he's so like how he is.
Eccentric
he's very eccentric. He's very eccentric, and he talks in these different ways that people don't really talk like and like he's very awkward and very shy around people. But I like kind of the commentary of like, yeah, you know what, like if we can't get Louis Wayne, like what does it matter? Because like photography was on the rise, and like the idea of like taking photos. He goes to like the boxing match and people are taking a bunch of photos, and he gets shown the photos. It's like he's like, where's the electricity though? It didn't capture the electricity of the fight. And he's like, it did. There's the photos. I guess like obviously nowadays people are not hired to draw what things are.
I guess
more so.
I think also it's one of those things you can't exactly just. Well, he used to work really
people
quickly.
People have cameras on their phone.
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
has a camera on them at all times now.
It's like, you know, because you get people that the only people in the like drawing, like illustrating world that kind of have to draw to the same sort of capacity, like, you know, like quickness and things, are the people that do like in it like the police like photo shots or whatever, and then like the people in courtrooms have to draw the people. Like I swear those are the only people that have to like draw really quickly, and you need to have that skill. Everyone else is just, you just got a phone, you just got a camera, you just...
He was drawing with 2 pencils at the same time.
Yeah, he was a symmetry man. I'm not, like, when I shit you not, that man is like my symmetry inspiration, but like, you can never do it like him. There's just something fascinating about it, the way he does it. And it was all by hand as well. Like, I can cheat it now. You can get on an iPad and get a mirror, and it will draw the same thing you're drawing on the other side. He did that by hand, bruv.
He did that by hand, and he did it simultaneously with 2 hands. It's crazy. I fucking love his artwork.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
A lot of it at like the end, like the credits are like, you don't even like, oh, that's over, and then you like turn it off, because it's like the credits are just full of his artwork, and it's so lovely. And I think they were able to kind of replicate it within the movie itself because it is so artsy, and like all the shot composition is off the charts. It's insane, and like all this like there's the glow to it, and like all these different shots they're able to get. Like he paints like flowers on a mirror, and then it shows like a shot from them inside of the mirror that he's painted on. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit underrated actually. Like when it comes to like actual artist, because I didn't know who he was until I think it was when I started like my pre-degree when I was like 17 or something. Never knew who he was before then. And ever since then, I've been sort of like fascinated with like these stupid, cute little cats and their giant eyes. And I don't know, I just love it. I just think it's really cute.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about the shot composition, I think the film just generally looks really, really gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
It's has this really warm, soothing colour palette. I think all the shots are really good. It was shot by Eric Wilson, who's cinematographer of the Paddington movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of has that same sort of vibe.
I was waiting for you to bring up something
yeah.
about Paddington.
Yeah, it's
Here we
very
go.
warm, so it takes you in.
Yeah, it's like very like, what do you call it, warm tones, and it like yellows and, I don't know. Sorry, I can't stop looking at this fucking bug.
A lot of like fading kind of like orangey kind of pulses within it, and it's like in combination with the film, it's like it comes alive. It's like the shot is alive, and it's not because the people who are in it are like talking or like whatever. It's like the film feels alive. And if you're gonna make a movie about an artist, it kind of has to be an arty movie. It kind of has to be like this kind of
you can't not
weird,
have an arty
intricate art house kind of movie. Otherwise, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it uses its colour palette really effectively in some scenes where it'll just like, there's a couple scenes where it's like completely monochromatic and it's just all one colour. So I think there's like one scene where he's talking to like his old boss and like everything's like completely yellow. So just a really creative usage of colours throughout.
Yeah, I think Benedict Cumberbatch learned how to paint for this role. He's like, there are parts where
cool.
he's actually doing it, and you do see him like drawing a lot in the movie. But there's such a commitment to it.
Yeah, I wondered whether he was like, so you know, like in those scenes where he's like in like his mental hospital or whatever.
Yeah,
like you see all like the papers with like the artwork on it. I wondered whether they were like replicated or whether like someone like just photocopied them and went, fuck it, here, have a whole bunch of like artwork.
I'm sure a lot of it was not stuff that he had drawn personally, Benedict Cumberbatch, but I'm certain he drew quite a bit of it. And I just love that kind of commitment. He's a very dedicated actor, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot that like I kind of didn't rate him that much, like back when he was doing Sherlock or whatever, and everybody was like fawning over him. It was like, yeah, okay, well, who's this guy?
I never did, to be fair.
But then like, what? You come down with fucking Power of the Dog, which is like one of the best movies of last year, and like this, which nobody saw. Even though they should have.
It's a shame. It's a real fucking shame.
But I guess it's like how it's marketed as well. I don't even know like how I found out about this movie.
Also, it's just like the stupid fucking name.
I remember we saw a trailer for it in the cinema once.
Oh yeah, and
yeah,
I got super excited because I was like, oh my god, it's the cat guy, and everyone was like, and you two were like, what? And I was like, the cat guy. We have to go see the cat guy, and then only me and Max went to go and see the cat guy. You did miss out, Chris. It was a visual experience on the brain.
It's a visual treat, visual feast.
Especially when you're on the screen that big, but you know.
Yeah.
It's whatever, it was fun.
I do love all like, I think their chemistry is like fantastic. Benedict Cumberbatch and Claire Foy was fantastic. I think she's brilliant.
The one from The Crown.
The one from The Crown.
The one from The Crown.
Yes. I love, and you really believe that they're in love, and like the whole time.
Yeah,
and, like,
I do. Yeah.
They have like these awkward moments together and all that, and like kissing in the men's bathroom and all that. It's really great and it's really nice. And like he shaves his.
It's quite wholesome, isn't it?
Shaves his mustache off, and he's like, "Oh, I've shaved my mustache off," and she's like, "You look very handsome," and all that. It's like they were very.
Yeah, they were just so
very
cute.
Nice. It's so
like
cute, and like all that. They do enough to like make you believe that they love each other so much, and then like they get their own house, and then they adopt a cat, Peter, and he comes in and he's a cat.
I love that they adopt a cat. You mean they found the cat?
Just like there's a great fucking monologue where like they're just like lying together and like kind of crying a bit. Just like he's like, I just don't know what I'm gonna do when you're gone. I can't even imagine.
Don't you dare! Like when that was, I was drawing on my iPad. I was like, don't listen to this because you're gonna get upset. Just don't listen to it.
The world's gonna be less beautiful, and she's like, the world is beautiful, Louis. Like fucking hell, man. And they like.
That was horrible the first time.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's really, really sweet. I think that's actually like my favourite stuff in the movie. Once she dies, I'm not as interested in the film.
I've got to admit, I think it is best when them two are like together in the movie.
Yeah,
especially,
I wouldn't say like completely like the film fell off or anything. I didn't care as much after that.
Because it was
I
like
really
no...
loved all the stuff with like them like together and just like everything up until the point where she dies. I was really, really enjoying, and afterwards I was like, kind of lost my interest a little bit.
The bit where he finds her is like the
that's
worst.
really, really
he's like
sad.
making his egg, and
There's
he's
like
like, I'm
barely any
gonna bring
dialogue.
it. Oh, don't stop
he just, like,
it.
I'm like, has he noticed? And like he goes downstairs and you're like, has he noticed? And he just like tries to light this match and he's like fumbling.
Because
And
he knows.
He knows, and fucking, it's soul destroying.
Oh yeah, no,
It's so upsetting.
like that and that monologue bit is those are the two worst bits of the film for me. I'm just like, I can't do it. I'm like, ignore it.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
I think, yeah, those are some of my favorite parts of the movie, definitely. But I don't think it like takes a nosedive or anything. I don't even think it like gets worse or like even at all. Even slightly does it get worse. But I just think it's like from that point, it's you watch his descent.
Yeah.
And there's like
honestly,
nothing you do.
you just watch his
so
life get
involved
worse. Yeah.
in his artwork now, and like that's what he does. And like, you know, when you lose someone, you do try to distract yourself a lot, and like that's what he was ultimately trying to do. And it's like,
and it became famous
and it was
from
all
doing it
for her, and like that's like she fostered that with him, and like now he's the cat man and he draws cats and all that, and you see him like slowly deteriorate over the movie, and he develops schizophrenia and all this, and it's horrible. Sorry,
I was gonna say, and it got worse again because I was just thinking about when his cat dies.
Yeah, what the fuck was that about? Like his cat dies, which is horrible. It's just so upsetting. They just show his like limp body. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake!
Like, it doesn't get much worse than like,
then his
your wife
sister gets like leprosy, and then she gets schizophrenia, and then she dies, and then his mother dies very soon after, and then very soon after that, his employer dies, who just
and
like
his other sister dies as well.
and like his employer who like showed so much like zeal for him. It was like, I really love what you're doing, Lily. He just gave him all that like encouragement, and he gave him all these opportunities to like really be like he kept him in pay, and like gave him an opportunity to be an artist. It's so upsetting, and it never lets up. It never lets up from that moment.
It's
when it's really happy with him, when he's with Emily, that's the happiest it ever gets, and the rest of it is so fucking bleak. It's so bleak.
Yeah, like
a horrible fucking scene, like right at the end, where like this guy comes into the hospital where he's at, or like it's like an asylum, I guess, or like an old folks home, and he's the guy who's on fucking prosthetics on Benedict Cumberbatch's face.
Yeah, it looks so good.
It looked so real. He just like this old dude who's like so done with it. I think he was like kind of blind as well, and he just like starts crying, and this guy get talking about like how she influenced him and all that, and like he says he failed, and I was like, fucking hell, how could you think that? It is like a symptom of like, I think a lot of artists feel that way, and they just don't feel good enough, and they feel like they never live up to what they feel could be their full potential. Even though he made so many people happy, even though he basically changed the world, he still feels like he failed. It was just heartbreaking.
Yeah, he's like talking about how his art, like everything he paints connects to someone, but at the same time, everyone who looks at his paintings is connected to him, so he's never alone. And I thought that was like a really, really great monologue.
It's
true. I guess it's true though. You can apply that to most creative things. That's what I like. That's what I love about just being like creative. Just, everything is connected to someone, and you'll live on.
That's the electricity.
Creations.
We're connected through electricity.
It is, and I love that.
And sharing art with each other. I love that last shot where it goes back to the place where him and Emily were, and she says area. Like, "This is our place, Louis. This is where I'll be." And fucking hell. And it goes back to it, and it looks like a painting, and it's the perfect thing they could have possibly ended the movie on.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is where. And I think like probably like maybe he died in that moment, but like he was with her, you know, and that was like maybe that whole thing about him like going there was not actually real. And I think maybe he just died.
Yeah, I don't know. This film always gives me like the you're really upset, but you're also like really hopeful at the same time.
It's a
I get
hopeful
that a lot
movie.
with these
yeah,
arty
that's what I think
movies,
is really
though.
sweet.
I'm like, I'm so depressed after that, but I'm also so happy at the same time.
Mhm.
It's very strange.
I love the film's usage of the theremin score.
Yes.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Theremin?
Yeah, it's
So,
like
yeah.
that really like creepy like sort of sound that they use in a lot of like old horror movies and
I must
It's
have
the,
not paid no attention
it's
to
So you
that.
know the instrument that's like you don't
it's like
touch
the
it.
aerial
It's like
one,
the
isn't it?
aerial
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
just
touch
don't
it. And it
remember
makes
it.
a sound.
I don't
through, like,
remember that.
Yeah, it's in the soundtrack
frequencies.
loads.
That's probably
Yeah.
why. Another fucking cool
It's
thing.
really,
like,
really well used. I think.
Yeah.
I love all the music in it. Sometimes it could be a bit overpowering. Like
Yeah, I
sometimes,
think-
maybe a bit, but it didn't really take me out of the movie all that much. I really have very little to criticize the movie on. There's like a part where like I think he's going a bit more like into the schizophrenia. Like he feels like the cats are talking to him, and he's like, that was quite sad, but like
yeah.
it was also quite interesting that he felt like he was making some progress with cats and feeling like, and eventually they'll be able to talk. And I do think he
they'll
believes
stand
that.
on their hind legs
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, is that the bit where they've got like subtitles?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
That's so
like,
good.
Louis, where are we going and all that, and like
I
one part
love
was like-
jumping.
I like jumping. you know.
I like jumping.
Yeah, I love that.
I like jumping.
Yeah, they're all great. oh, we gotta talk about the fucking. So like, there's this part where I think he's got like a bit of trauma from his childhood, and we don't ever really know what it was about. But it was maybe that he had like a bad dream that like scarred him, or like maybe he was on a boat at one point, and he's getting like a lot of trauma from like this boat that like maybe it sunk or it capsized in the sea, and like the waves were going everywhere, and like they go to a play and they go to the Tempest, and like that kind of triggers it for him a bit. And there was like a scene where like he's looking through a porthole and like he sees himself as a child. He's like running to his mother and father's rooms, it's saying like, "Mummy, Daddy, help me, I'm drowning." And it comes back when he's like having this kind of schizophrenic episode on a boat where he's coming back from America, and it shows that like the ship is sinking and he's sinking in it, and like all the water is coming in, and he's like screaming, and then it just like dead cuts, and it's just like him like standing in his room, in his cabin room. He's like wet himself. The taps are on. And he's just like screaming, "Mummy, Daddy, help me, I'm drowning." It's like, oh fucking hell, man. Does the guy's life not get any worse?
Yeah.
It's so dour.
It is. That's why I find this film so interesting, because I'm always like, because it hits you with depression thing after depression thing, but you still leave feeling like really like
How does it do that?
really
Yeah, you're like,
alleviated.
wow,
You're
that
like,
was-
how?
that
How
was
am I
great.
feeling
Like,
hopeful
actually,
about
yeah.
this?
Because it's a movie about love.
Yeah, I guess so.
ultimately, it's not this sad story about a guy who just got
No.
dealt bad hands. It's about a guy who changed the world, and he had a lot of love in his life, and maybe his sisters and his mother didn't treat him very well.
Mm.
But ultimately, they kind of came to that realization themselves, and they're like, I'm sorry, and like, I'm sorry I treated you that way, and they kind of wanted to reconcile at the end.
Mm.
Like it is about love in that way, and how we connect with
Connections.
people.
And electricity
Yeah.
frequencies. Sounds very tinfoil hat, but it makes
Mhm.
more sense if you've seen it.
It's getting a bit late, so I guess
Yeah, should we
we'll
rate
cut
it?
off
Yeah,
the
let's-
conversation here. I do one part I really like was like that 2001-esque kind of cat kaleidoscope thing they do.
Oh, what the thing near
Oh,
the
yeah,
end?
that's
Everything's
really
just like
cool.
coming. Yeah, it's like a kaleidoscope,
Yeah.
like weird, like interesting colors and like shifting all the time, and like different cats going in and out of it. It was kind of like that scene in 2001 a bit.
It was
But it was-
gnarly.
It was really cool, really great.
I
Okay,
wish, yeah, we could probably talk about this all day, but I
Mhm.
think we've got to put a cap in this at
Yeah.
some point.
do it out of Peter's.
Okay, go
From my man
ahead
Peter.
for the meow
Shout
meow.
out to my boy.
Shout out to my boy
Oh,
Peter.
hold on. That was another thing, wasn't it? The meow meow music. Anyway, carry on.
Oh yeah,
That's
the
the
meow
thing
meow music.
we'll have to unpack that
was-
another
yeah,
time.
Maybe another. Just watch the movie.
Yeah.
You'll know.
I'll get Chris to put it in the outro.
I don't think you will.
Meow, meow,
Nah.
meow.
Yeah, I liked this movie a lot. It was really sweet. Really great acting, visually really interesting. I definitely didn't love it as much as you guys, but I still did like it a lot, and I'm glad I watched it. So I give it like 7 Peters out of 10.
Mm-hmm. I love this movie. I think it's amazing. I was kind of getting choked up while talking about it as well. It's just like goes to show like how much of an impact it had. I would recommend it because I don't think a lot of like people didn't really see it, or like I think it's on Now TV even. Go and watch it on Now TV.
Yeah, it was on Prime weirdly because it was like half funded by Amazon Studios, so I don't know why it was
weird.
taken off Prime.
Interesting.
That is strange, but yeah,
Stupid, but interesting.
you should watch it. It's great.
I agree.
It's a movie for everyone, I think, and you can get a lot out of it. It's also very historical. It's about this guy who lived, and you're better off knowing about him than you are not knowing about him. I'll give it 9 Peters out of 10. It did go up this time for me. I did like it a bit more.
Yeah, it was a very magical movie. Yeah, I'd actually. I'm going to recommend it. I just think just ignore the stupid fucking title of this movie. The title of it sucks, but yeah, magical, pretty cats. If you like cats and you like colours and you like art, it's going to be a movie for you. So I'm going to give it 8 Peters out of 10. Rest in peace,
Nice.
Peter. You cute little bastard.
Rest in peace, Peter, my boy.
Yeah, he was a cutie. Yeah, so we've gotten onto my movie. I think almost everybody in the world has seen this movie by this point. So I picked Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse from 2018. There's too many directors, so I'm not going to name them.
Nice.
What?
We haven't got the time, guys. So, so the movie's about a boy called Miles who, is the typical Spider-Man gubbins. He goes out, gets bitten by a spider, and then has to kind of work out how to be Spider-Man. Then he opens up like this portal shit, and all these other multiverse like spider people come out.
Darcy, did you actually watch this movie?
I'm just trying to run through this quickly because it's very late now. Anyway, not most people have seen this movie, so what do we think about it? Because we can just talk about the plot in a minute.
Yeah, it was directed by Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman. See how easy that was?
No, it wasn't quick enough. We're wasting valuable seconds.
It's obviously great. I saw this when it came out. I saw it on my birthday, I believe. I was like, gotta go see this Spider-Man movie. And it was great. I think the person I went with was like, we gotta see this Spider-Man movie, and they were like, it's a baby movie. It's an animated baby movie. It's
not a baby movie.
Why did you take me to see this animated movie? I'm like, what?
I think it looks sick.
But yeah, I mean, more animation. I'm always saying it. More animation, please. More animation.
That looks like this.
No, because you say that. You said that, Darcy, when we were watching it. More movies look like this. It's like if every movie looked like this, it would make this one less interesting, right? This has a distinct style. It's going for something interesting and new that we've not seen before. If everything was like this,
well, not everything, but I'd like to see maybe a little bit.
When
more.
everyone's super, no one will be, and all that. It's the great Syndrome quote.
I like that. That was a good segue in,
It's a great movie. It's one of the best superhero movies. It might be the best superhero movie.
I think it is actually the best superhero movie.
I would agree.
Well, I agree to disagree with that. Whatever. But yeah, it's still like a PG. It's like, it's for everyone. It's like, I think even if you don't know who Spider-Man is, watch this. You know who Spider-Man is. And it does a really good job of exploring what it means to be Spider-Man. Not just like what it means to be a superhero, but like what it means to be Spider-Man, this guy that like was created by the Marvel team back when they made him up. When
he was in fruition.
And they explore him very well in this, and you've got like a lot of Spider-Men to go into. You got like the Nick Cage Spider-Man, you got the Japanese Spider-Girl, and you got Spider-Ham,
played by John Mulaney.
Yeah. All these guys. It starts and Spider-Man fucking dies.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, what the fuck? When I first saw that movie, I was like, they just killed Spider-Man.
In the Spider-Man movie.
Smashing his fist into him and he dies. And you're like, oh my God, Spider-Man's dead. And he doesn't come back to life. It's crazy. I fucking love that they did that. But I mean, obviously he's not no one's ever really dead, but I mean that guy is, and he doesn't come back. And you get all these other Spider-Men like they're to teach Miles Morales how to be Spider-Man, and Miles is this kid who's just like, oh, I don't know, whatever. I'm just going about my life and all that, and he's a really great character. And I'm loving that like we've like never had a Miles Morales movie before. Oh, they come out with it, and it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, I mean,
how have they managed that?
Miles Morales is an incredibly new character. He only existed for a few years.
Oh, really?
They literally made Miles Morales because there's that episode of Community where Donald Glover has like a Spider-Man shirt on, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, hire Donald Glover as Spider-Man right now!" And because of that,
really?
Marvel created Miles Morales, like a black Spider-Man.
What? And they just didn't ask Donald Glover to be Spider-Man?
No.
Oh, that would have fit in quite well with like the meme of it all, though.
Yeah, there's actually a shot in this movie where Miles goes to see his Uncle Aaron, goes down to his apartment, and on his TV screen they're showing that clip from Community.
Oh, really? Oh.
I didn't see that.
Was there a,
it's like an Easter egg that I spotted like the second or third time I watched it.
Was there a poster of Chance the Rapper in there as well? Yeah, I noticed
that. Colouring book album covers like comes up quite a lot. In the
so
movie.
Iconic. I was like, oh, that's there. Yeah, that was cool. I just think everything looked really cool in this movie.
Everything did look really cool.
Yeah, the
really
animation's incredible. There's so much like incredible attention to detail.
It was like opening a comic book and just like, you know, like if a comic book could move.
Yeah, well, that was the point. They kind of they intentionally tried to make it look like it was made using the offset printing that old Marvel comics used. Yeah. So it's like
with
a
the
lot of
half-tones
it's
and
like
stuff.
a lot of the colours are like warps. There's like a newsprint sort of look at points. They also it's done at like a lower frame rate than the usual movie. I think it's like
it moves
instead
a bit
of
slower,
24 frames per second, it's like 12 frames per second or something.
Yeah,
at least a lot of the time to
you
kind of
tell.
give it this like
but it looks really
it looks
cool.
really good.
Yeah,
and I thought like the movement was like it kind of looked like very fluid, like more fluid than you'd expect it to look at 12 frames per second. I was just like, I
what's
love
12
like
frames
all
a second. You're like, fuck
it's like half what you're used to.
Yeah, it's half what a normal movie is.
Yeah, so but I just love how they were able to do all that, and it made it look that good and not feel janky or anything. It just like the choreography is spectacular. It was almost like, well, they had to just like have to map something off of that. Like they had to map this from something that people were doing in real life. Surely, I don't know if they did, but it looks like just very fluid and very real to reality. I like all that about it.
Yeah, there's great character designs as well. Like I really, really love the look of Kingpin. I know that's like
he's a weird looking guy.
It's like quite a controversial look. Like I know a lot of people are really split on it, but I think he looks
because he's big and blocky.
Yeah, because he looks very
looks
different.
like a Roblox.
He kind of does, to be fair. Yeah, but he looks like that in the like. He looks like that anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks a bit like Kanye and Little Peep and that I Love It music.
Like he's wearing his own like little block suit thing.
Well, he's a big man. He's big and strong. You want him to look intimidating.
That's true.
I think a lot of people think he just looks too silly or that he doesn't like really look that like menacing. But I think he looks great. I think he does look quite
he's
creepy.
Like the size of a building.
Yeah, really great. A lot of really great character design, honestly, for everyone. You got like what, Doc Ock, Olivia Octavius, they gender bent for this one. It was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it was cool.
You got like usually you're used to seeing, I guess, like Spider-Man 2, where like all the metal arms and that. But she's got like these kind of rubbery plastic tubing arms that look so good all the time. And the way they're able to like move them around and like do stuff that obviously you wouldn't be able to do in like live action or like with the Sam Raimi movie. Even though I think they did a very good job in that movie, you don't get like, it's very fast paced and like all the fighting is like it's going like 1,000,000 miles an hour like at all times. And like sometimes maybe you could think that could be a bit like, oh okay, well, fucking hell. But it all fits very well within the movie.
Yeah, I also love how you got like got the character of Penny Parker, who's got this anime sort of style to her. And I love that they just kind of went for something completely different with her. Like, she really does look like she just ripped from an anime.
Yeah,
I think it like works really well in
So
it.
was she supposed to be like a gender bent Peter Parker?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Japanese version.
Yeah, no, I did really like get it. Well, I got it, but I mean, I didn't like
all
get
the
it, you know?
spider like men characters are like they do have their own comics.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Penny Parker's like an actual Japanese one. Obviously, you have Spider Ham, which is like a kid's sort of comic.
Yeah,
It's like that sounds like a Looney Tunes thing, isn't it? Is that what they rip it like off of? You know, when they're talking about
Probably.
Looney
Because you got
Tunes.
that bit at the end
Yeah.
where he says that's all, folks. And he's
And they're
like,
like,
is he
"Are you
legally
legally-"
allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of true. They probably own
Well,
it.
they're also like
I don't
referencing like DC as well. And,
Yeah.
Which the first time I watched it, I was like, they're allowed to do that? But yeah, I mean, they did it. So
Who's going to
Why
stop
not?
them?
Yeah.
Who's going to stop them?
it's out there now. Yeah.
It's free advertisement, guys. You didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. Actually, I really like Jake Johnson as Peter B. Parker. Who's
Yeah.
a guy I know from the show New Girl. And I think it was
Recognize the
very
name.
kind of perfect casting for that character. It's like this schlubby kind of out of style Peter Parker Spider-Man. But I think he has his own kind of comedy. It's quite prevalent in the show New Girl, but it is like, I guess that's just his brand of comedy, but it works very well for the character. Like all that stuff with like, oh, I was like, this is me, I'm Peter Parker, and this is what I do. Like, I do that for basically all the Spider-Man characters. His one was definitely like the funniest though.
Oh, what, the one where he's like eating pizza,
Eating
'cause
pizza
he's
and crying in the shower.
and he's working out, but he's not really working out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I liked him. He was.
There I was doing push-ups, getting strong. He like gets pulled through the portal, the wormhole, and like his last thought is to grab a piece of pizza.
Yeah, what a hero!
Yeah. It's all really great, yeah, really great like effects and all that, and all the stuff that you probably wouldn't be able to do with a
Like a
live action movie. You could do with animation and not have it feel weird and like off kilter.
That's
You
what.
do it very well.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about this movie. That it's because it looks like something straight out of a comic book. I feel like no rules apply. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can just do whatever, and it
It's
looks
whatever you
fine.
want, yeah.
I
A
love
lot of
that.
like weird like perspective shots when they're like, I actually really like all the stuff they did with like when Spider-Man like walks up walls or he's like on the ceiling or whatever, and it'll
Mhm.
like shoot that in a way that I don't think we've seen all that much from other Spider-Man movies before. By the camera will angle in such a
Yeah.
way.
Oh, it would go like.
Yeah.
I just realised that no one
It's
can
like,
see
this
what
is
I'm doing.
defying gravity a bit more than other Spider-Man movies have done before.
Yeah, obviously, like just making it animated allows like so much more freedom in terms of like the weight of what you're doing and like the speed of how everything moves. So like the action sequences feel so much more like vibrant and like fast paced than I feel like you could have done in live action.
Yeah, but like, could you imagine doing Spider-Ham in live action? I feel like that would be like really weird.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, that's why they didn't. I don't know if Spider-Ham came into what? No Way Home.
No, that's not, it's just like what?
But like, oh, what the fuck? What are you doing here?
you're saying about Jake Johnson in the film, but I think like just generally all of the acting is fantastic. Like Shamik Moore as Miles Morales is fantastic.
Mhm.
I love Mahershala Ali as Uncle Aaron.
Yeah.
See Brian Tyree Henry as Jefferson Davis, who's Miles' dad. He is
Mhm.
I
incredible in
loved
the
his
movie.
dad. He was
He has
cool.
There's that fantastic scene where he goes to like talk to Miles and he's like behind the door and Miles is like taped up to a chair. He's like talking to him through the door.
It's like tearing up.
So
and you're
sweet,
like-
yes.
And I was just like imagining him in like the recording booth, like saying these words. I'm like, it's a fantastic performance. He really gets across the emotion that he needs to get across.
Yeah.
With a very fraught relationship, and I guess they don't talk all that much, and it's said from like the offset. It's like done with like a funny joke where like he's like, "Say I love you, Dad," and like embarrasses him in front of all the people at school. But it's like, I guess they don't have that relationship, and they are more closed off with each other, and maybe they don't let each other in with what they're feeling all the time. But ultimately, I guess they get, and like because he's a cop, he doesn't like Spider-Man. He thinks he like works against the law. But I really love. I almost like cried at the part where like Miles is fighting Kingpin and his dad comes into the facility and like he just gets beaten up. Miles gets beaten up by Kingpin. And then his dad just stands there and he says, "Get up, Spider-Man." I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He loves Spider-Man now.
I think the first time I saw this, like, I spent like the second half of the movie just crying non-stop. It just really, really
It was
got
quite
to me.
moving, to be fair. Like,
It's a very emotional movie, but it is also like, you're showing me something that I haven't seen before. I always love that in movies. That's why like when I saw Wolfwalkers in the cinema, I just like started crying from the offset because it was so beautiful and like, it's just not something that I'm used to seeing. And when you can do something like that, I think it deserves a place and it stands out very well. It's not just because it looks great. It's obviously a bonus, but they've managed to tell a really succinct, very well thought out story as well that stands probably far above any of the other Spider-Man stories I've seen be told.
I like
in
I
cinema.
love this one.
I think
fucking love
it
Spider-Man.
helps that this film, I think, really gets across the point of Spider-Man better than any of the other Spider-Man movies. It's like the one that seems to understand the character the most, kind of like understands like the whole idea of the character and how he's, you know, the fact that he has these superpowers and can like swing webs and stuff. It's not really all the character is. The character's kind of like just a good guy there to help people.
Yeah.
It's obviously called your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's kind of what he is. He's there to help people, and that's I feel like what this movie's kind of getting across is that like anyone can be Spider-Man. You just have to, you know,
Believe
be
in
good
it. Yeah.
and
Yeah, that was
do
like a
good
really
things.
a great juxtaposition, like right at the start. I think when what is it he says? He says I think it was like the Peter Parker that died. He says there's only one Spider-Man and you're looking at him, and that contrasts to at the end when Miles is saying like anyone can wear the mask, you could wear the mask, and it's like it was like a point where like it was said that Peter Parker, it didn't matter like who he was, it just happened to be that he got bit by the spider, and it could have happened to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
This is
true, isn't it? Really.
one of my favorite scenes in the movie is actually Stan Lee's cameo, where like Miles goes to his costume shop to get a Spider-Man costume. He's like, "What if it doesn't fit?" And Stan Lee just goes, "It always fits."
Yeah.
What? No, we're not going
always
to talk about
fits,
that bit where it's like no refunds, no exchanges
that's great.
ever.
Yeah, it was capped off by a really funny joke.
But yeah, it's a really, really sweet scene.
Yeah, it is. And that was like really lovely, like right after Stanley's death as well.
Yeah.
This came out.
I think it was
Oh,
the
really?
last thing he recorded as well.
Yeah.
Before he
Oh,
died.
that's quite wholesome in a kind of fucked up kind
He
of
was
way.
the only person that they actually travelled to him to record his lines. Everyone else had to do it in a studio, but I think because he was quite ill, they actually went to him.
I mean, he is
Yeah, you'd
the
have
Marvel
to.
guy. You kind of can't not, you know.
The Marvel dad.
Yeah.
Marvel daddy.
Yeah, apparently because all the animators wanted to animate Stan Lee. Like any time there's like a shot on like a bus or just like the
Oh, what, they
streets
just
or something,
animated him on it.
they've just put him in it.
Oh,
So it's
that's
like hundreds of
cute.
Stan Lee just like
That's great.
sprayed
Yeah.
throughout the movie.
I like that. Also like the scene when like they storm the facility and they try to steal the computer and like all that stuff is like great, and like how they are able to like pace it. It's a really well paced movie. I was like worried that like maybe this time around, I'm like, I don't know how many fucking times I've seen this movie, I swear to God, but I'm always worried like maybe it won't like hold up, or maybe like the pacing can suffer or something, or like how long will it take to get to the Spider-Mans, and that's what you're like really gunning for. But it just goes with it like the whole time. It's so good. It's so good. It doesn't have a dull moment in it, and like I just love them like going into the facility and all that, and like all the stuff they're able to do with like the reveal of like Dr. Octavius and like her arms and all that, and like all the invisible stuff that Miles is able to do, and like him learning how to swing on the spider webs and
I really wanted him to
all the
say
stuff
go
with the
web
bagel.
go.
So they, like he's like step 3, I take a bagel, and like he actually does it at the end, and he takes the bagel, and someone's like, he took the bagel.
That's so good. This film is really hilarious.
Yeah.
It's such a funny movie. It was co-written by Phil Lord, who was one of the writers and directors of the Lego Movie. Wrote Cloudy with Chance and Meatballs. He's like a really great writer.
Yeah, I like him a lot. This is better than those, I think. for my own personal preferences.
Although I do really love the Lego Movie. That's one of my favourite
I've not
animated
seen
movies.
that Cloudy movie, so I'm not even going to
I've
comment.
only seen it once. I don't think I liked it that much. But
I like the Lego Movie quite a bit. I don't think I would because it's so stupid. But there you go.
Yeah. Why do they all start like beating Miles up? Like in the spider cave, they're like, you can't join us if you can't like get up after you're hit. But like then just like start beating the shit out of him for no reason, and like nobody else has to go through that initiation. Imagine if they started beating up the fucking Japanese spider girl.
Probably because they've already like
they've
gone
already
through a lot of
established
shit.
their
But they didn't know that he hadn't.
Yeah,
He
that's
could have
true.
just said,
Actually,
"Yeah, also
It's
I'm
probably
here."
because he said that he hasn't.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
he's
well, yeah,
clumsy.
yeah,
Rookie move, innit? Rookie move.
Yeah, in what situation? You don't give yourself up, Miles. Like,
Then he lies and he says, "Yeah, I made this suit. It's my suit, and I made it." It's like, no, you didn't. You spray painted it, but you didn't make it.
Do you know what? He has my favourite suit. I was
It's a good
thinking
suit.
about it.
It's
Yeah, it's my
great,
favourite
yeah.
one. But I think it's not because it looks like much different, but I think I just like the spray, like paint elements and stuff. I just think it looks cool. So it's my
like the
favourite one.
gradients and all that.
Yeah.
with it,
I like it a lot.
It looks spray painted.
Yeah, it's sick.
They made a Miles Morales game not that long ago. It's like a follow up to that Spider-Man game. I really want to play it.
I don't even know
Yeah,
I
if
think
it's
it
a
has
thing.
that same suit in it.
Well, you would hope
Yeah,
so if it's
yeah.
his.
Yeah,
You know,
because
his
he's in
game.
that Spider-Man game. He's like one of the playable characters, and he gets bitten at the end of it.
Oh right,
Yeah.
I'm just still looking at I just opened up that article where Chris told me the other day about like that villain called the Spot, and I cannot stop thinking,
Yeah, in the
why
sequel.
the fuck would you call the villain the Spot? Sounds like a pirate movie thing.
Spider-Man had a lot of really weird shit villains like throughout the history of comics. So
They probably you got to run out of ideas at some point, I suppose.
Just like a bunch of villains that are like named after animals. Like, yeah, just octopus one and
Oh, yeah.
scorpion one and the vulture one and
Rhino.
goblin.
Oh yeah, the rhino one.
Yeah, all these animals that he has to fight.
And then there's just the Spot. They were like, fuck it.
It is goofy. But I mean, they know that Spider-Man's goofy.
Yes,
right?
but I think he's like I reckon he's probably like the goofiest of the superheroes.
Well,
Like,
he's a funny character. He's like a kid. He's supposed
Yeah.
to be a kid, I guess.
which is why I guess it kind of worked.
Yeah, I mean, Deadpool was like based off of him because like, his whole thing was
Deadpool
always to
looks
make
just
quips
like
and stuff.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Deadpool was like, let's take Spider-Man and make him swear and stuff.
Oh,
That was like the point of him.
No.
I mean, yeah, fine. I don't
do,
really have
yeah.
any gripes against Deadpool, really.
No. Not as a character.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. It's a bit like saying I love Venom, but I don't love the Venom movies.
I love Venom and the Venom movies.
Do you know what? Wait, is there a third one coming out?
Oh, there
If
will
anyone
be.
knows? Because that's got to go on the trilogy list, doesn't it? The terrible, terrible Venom movies.
Nah, it doesn't have to.
Please.
Going back to this movie, I really love the music throughout. There's a lot of like usage of hip hop and stuff. I think they had a lot of like rappers like make songs for it. Like obviously Post Malone and Swally have that song Sunflower.
Yeah.
That's like quite a big bit in the film, which I think is
Yeah,
used
there's-
really effectively.
There's quite a few.
I think
rappers
Jaden
on
had
there,
a song
isn't
on there, which was actually
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, Sunflower's the only one that I actually know the name of, but I'm so
Yeah.
sure there's like
It's also
at
'cause
least
that song
10 or
slaps.
something. Yeah. I like that one where it's playing where he's like walking through it, where he's like walking somewhere and I don't even remember what
I'm
it was.
not scared of the dark.
It's probably something like that.
something
Yeah, I
like
thought that one was
Yeah,
sick, to be
don't they
fair.
bring that back in towards the end where he
Yeah.
like takes that leap of faith and he's
Yeah.
like flying through the city.
Yeah, I think it's the same song.
Such
Yeah.
a sick.
Incredible scene.
Fucking hell.
He found himself, and
Yeah.
I like that. That was sweet.
How do I know I'm ready? You don't know. Wow,
You
it's a
just
leap
got-
of faith. It's a leap of faith. And that comes back again when like
Yeah.
Peter B. Parker, he's like, what if I don't like do well in my dimension? Like I can't like,
Or if I fuck it
what
up.
if I fuck it up? And he's like, it's a leap of faith. And all
He's
that
like,
going
yeah.
into it is like, yeah, that's a lot of what it takes to be a hero in the movie, I think. It's just trying to trust yourself and trusting that you kind of have it in you.
I can't, that's what I kind of like about Spider-Man, is that it seems very like,
He's a guy who fucks up a lot.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
not overtly like, oh, I'm a superhero and therefore I'm brilliant and great all the time. He's like constantly like learning about
Yeah.
himself. and
Yeah,
I'm like,
he's
oh, I
like
that
a
lot.
person.
Yeah. Whereas, like he's not like a Thor. Like Thor's like a fucking
Yeah.
demigod or whatever. You know,
Yeah, like Superman, who's literally like
erase.
He has everything.
Yeah, like yeah. That's what I like
Yeah.
about Spider-Man. He's just
he feels like a normal average
he
person.
feels
like,
not relatable.
you look at
but
Spider-Man and you kind of see yourself in a way.
I guess he is
Mhm.
relatable then. Yeah, he just
is
seems
relatable.
he seems like the most like believable, I would say. Like, you know, like if someone I don't know, if someone tomorrow turned out to be a Spider-Man copycat, I'd be like, okay, I could see that happening. Like, you know, obviously you wouldn't be able to like fly or anything, but I could see it happening. Like vigilantes going out just in like Spider-Man costumes, beating the shit out of like robbers and stuff.
That's what's going to happen when the fuel crisis reaches its peak and we're all Mad Maxing it down the roads.
Yeah, people
And
can
you're like
dress as
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. We laugh, but it's coming.
Driving Mini Coopers with the roofs ripped off.
Yeah, taking off like the Audi symbols from the bonnets and stuff.
One other thing I wanted to note, I really loved that they have the Spider-Man free dance at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That bit cracks me up every time.
It's great.
Do you know
It's great.
how I love Spider-Man 3? I'm not even going to pretend
Yeah.
that I don't. It's
I
so
think-
shit. I love it.
The first time I saw it, when I saw that they had that in it, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I see. If this was me, I might have seen it the other way. I might have been like, "Oh, this is a bit of a reference to
Mhm.
bring up." The worst movie of the whole like franchise.
This was like when Nicolas Cage was like coming back as well, I think. Everyone was like, Nicolas Cage is in good movies again.
Yeah, apparently
Yeah.
Chris Pine is one of the Spider-Mans as well, but
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know
the one
which
who
one.
dies.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Because I saw him
Yeah.
on the
Really
cast
good.
sheet, and I was like, "What?"
Really good. He did a good job. Yeah, I think I really like Nick Cage as well. Like
Yeah, he's sick.
as Spider-Man Noir, is like obsessed with the Rubik's Cube and all that.
I'm taking this cube back
All
with
these
me.
like weird like turns of phrase that he uses because he's like in
the 50s, is it?
40s.
Oh.
Yeah, beating up Nazis and all
Yeah.
that. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
hard boiled turtle slapper.
Oh yeah, that was fucking funny. For me, it just felt like so like left field. Like I've only seen the film like once before, but surely you would remember a line like that. But I didn't. Like I thought it was so funny.
When he like leaves, he's like, I'm taking this Rubik's Cube. I don't understand it, but I will.
And it's like the only thing that's coloured as well. Like
Yeah.
it just takes it back with it.
The next movie you got Spider-Man 2099, who's played by Oscar Isaac. So that's going
Oh
to be pretty
yeah,
cool.
that was something we were talking about last night,
Ooh.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Interesting.
Oscar Isaac is slowly making his way to the Marvel everything. Like he's slowly
Yeah.
going to be in every Marvel
Ah.
thing ever.
Like Disney plus him.
They did. He's now the face of Disney Plus.
No, Oscar.
No, don't do it.
What you used to be in great movies. You were in Ex Machina.
You were the chosen one.
You were in Inside Llewyn Davis. Remember when you didn't got Disney Plus?
Remember your origins. Ex Machina. Oh my god, I fucking love that film. I need to pick that for a free for all at some point.
It's a great one.
What a movie.
Ratings.
Yeah, we'll
should
go
we?
to ratings. It's
fuck it.
very late.
Let's let's write out Rubik's cubes.
Cool.
Yeah. This is a perfect
Yeah.
movie. This is like one of the best movies of the last decade. Easily best superhero movie for me. Like, it's just, I think, overtaken Dark Knight for me, which says a lot because that's like
Oh,
one of
wow.
my favourite movies ever.
Never
But
thought I'd ever hear that in a
I
sentence.
really, really love this movie. I think it's just so beautifully made in every way. I give it an easy 10, what was it? Rubik's Cubes out of 10.
I don't want to hear anyone ever say that this movie is less than a 10 Rubik's Cubes out of 10. It does everything it needs to do. It is the perfect fucking movie. It just is. Like, what can you
Yeah.
say about it? Like, oh, I don't like Spider-Man, or like, it's just, it does what it needs to do, and it does it. It's so stylish. It's really well written, very emotional, and like very involving. And I think like it is like probably it might be the best superhero movie. For my own personal preference is it's definitely up there. It's not my favorite, but it's up there for sure. And yeah, I love it so much. Best Spider-Man movie, 10.
If you don't want to hear anyone say it's less than a 10, don't watch YMS's review of it.
Oh, to be fair,
No.
I was going to give it ever so slightly less, but not for any other reason than just there were like parts of it that I just like didn't quite retain. But that's not a fault of the movie. That's a fault of my stupid, shitty brain. I'm going to give it 8 Rubik's cubes out of 10. It'll probably go up like the next time I watch it. But
Didn't
yeah.
you rate it a 5 on Letterboxd?
I might have. Did I rate it a 5 on Letterboxd? Well, if I did, just ignore everything that I said.
It is.
Like I said, my brain's shit,
Yeah,
and I
it
can't.
is.
Oh
Fucking
fuck,
hell.
whatever. Fine, it's a 10. Whatever.
What?
I don't fucking know anymore.
What?
I can't even remember what I rated it, yet alone.
Well, what is it then?
Give it a 9. I'll go in between. Go in between what I said and what I
Okay,
didn't say.
fine.
Okay, you're wrong, but
So for everyone who listens to this podcast, my brain doesn't work. So there you go. That's all you need to know.
it's okay to be wrong sometimes.
Watched it on 4K as well. It
We
looked
watched it on
beautiful.
4K.
It looked really fucking good, but I still don't know the difference between. But this is just an average human being's watching of. It didn't look much different to how a Blu-ray would look for me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm a peasant
Darcy,
with peasant eyes, you know.
You really don't care about being wrong today.
I just don't know what I was meant to be like. Like what was
It's
meant to be
4K.
advanced. Like,
It's
why-
4 times better than
that means
1K.
that means nothing to me. I don't know what any of that means. It just looked good.
Yeah, you're right. You're damn right.
It did. It did look really fucking good.
If I showed you a side-by-side comparison of like the
Yeah, do
Blu-ray
you know what?
quality
Maybe
and the
that's what
4K, you'd know.
Yeah, I think that's what I needed because I'm to the uncultured eye. I guess you wouldn't know. I don't think.
Cool. That's that. Free for all done. It's
It
like
is.
11 at night.
Oh shit! We need to spin a
let's see.
wheel.
We gotta spin a wheel. This is the wheel that we spin when we gotta watch some movies next week. It's gonna tell us what movies we're watching next week. We're not watching them together again. Sadly, but
That is sad.
what can you do?
Nah, I'm gonna watch them with Max.
Can if you want.
Sure, I could.
Yeah. So what are we doing on the next one?
Let's come up with one we've already done.
What do you mean?
Why didn't you take it off the
I
list?
don't know why it was still on there.
Oh my god! So Darcy
Well,
and Chris
great.
can be wrong in the same podcast.
That was like one we did right at the beginning. That's David Fincher movie.
Oh, that would have been sick again.
That was ages ago.
Yeah, it was. Another one?
Post-Renaissance Disney movies.
No, do it
No.
again.
Yeah,
'Cause we already did a
literally
Disney
just
one.
did Disney a
Yeah,
couple
I don't
weeks
think we
ago.
could
Hate
do
Disney.
that.
Don't want to do it anymore. Take that off.
Stop Disney Plusing
Yeah.
us, Chris.
Anime.
Okay.
Okay.
I can deal with that.
Doing anime movies next one. We're going to pick 3 animes.
3 animes.
Stay tuned for that. We got social media. YouTube is a Sunday Movie Marathon. Twitter is at Sunday Movie Pod. Facebook is at Sunday Movie Marathon. Letterboxd is at Sunday MM, capital S, capital MM. I definitely didn't say that very succinctly, but whatever.
You gave it a good go. It's really late. It's really,
Really
late,
late.
guys. We do this for you. And
Yeah,
for you
we
alone.
do it for you.
Only for you.
Only for you.